Okay, I'll call to order our PROST meeting for July 27, 2026, and we can start with the roll call. John Evans.
Jesse Roper, Sarah Brown,
Joe Bird.
Kendra Barrett, trustee. Laura Lynn Bachman.
Billy Cooksey, Parks and Recreation. Eric Henschel, Parks and Recreation.
We're missing somebody? What? We missing somebody?
Landon.
yes.
And
Oh,
then
Lance.
she's
Yeah,
running
so
late.
she was gonna be running late. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We'll just note that for now, but just, she'll probably come back for too long. So public to be heard on non-agenda items.
Oh, yeah, so, my
name,
my name's Tobin Phillips, I'm the student body president-elect. And I was, talking about, having a youth advisory board with, Mr. Cooksey a little bit. And so I thought this would be a good place to start. I've seen a lot of other cities around here, I know Loveland has one, Fort Collins has one, I think Windsor might have one. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have a youth advisory board in Wellington, because we have a pretty large youth population. I think the student population at Wellington is like 1,500, I want to say.
Pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, so, around 10% of the, total town's population. And so I think it'd be really cool to have a board like that. I'm totally open to what you guys have to think on, what it's kind of structure would look like. My vision was having a liaison to each kind of board. So, one from the Parks and Rec, one from the Planning Commission, from the Finance Board, all that. And we'd have these youth come together and write a report to the Board of Trustees that would say, hey, these are some issues that we'd like to bring up to you and say this is our opinion on, as kind of a non-voting advisory body. So that's all I have to say, really.
Love it.
Can you say your name one more time?
Tobin Phillips.
Tobin,
Yeah.
okay. Tobin, thanks for taking the time to come in. I think that,
Thanks for having me.
as we talk about how we can better meet that group, specifically a community of youth over at our middle high school, that it's gonna be really important to have all of your insight into that. And I think it's a great experience to kind of learn about how the running of things happen and the different ways that you can get involved in the community.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea to start to flesh out and talk about.
Yes, ma'am.
So the board started talking about having a youth person be on this, to start coming to Parks meetings about a year ago.
Mhm.
And I know we kind of talked about it. Where are we at with the town level?
So at town level, what I would say is that, and Tobin and I talked about this, PROST board is I guess I would say philosophically the best way to start with connecting with youth in
Yeah.
that capacity. There are definitely some steps to be taken for it to happen, because there are ordinances on what can happen with every single board, right? Like their
The
sound
selection board.
ordinance, the selection, all the things. So it's not just gonna be like an overnight process, right?
For sure,
Right?
for sure.
So this would be just a potential start to the conversation. But as a board, I would say if it's, your direction or our direction, we can probably meet a youth advisory type panel or board at the best point to start with, just at a very beginning stage. It's a little more difficult, I would say, because we don't do certain things that the other boards do, executive sessions and all that kind of stuff. That would maybe be like multiple steps down the road. But I will say that starting it in this place is probably the best way to do it. A conversation, see where we can go, see where we can
Yeah,
grow
definitely.
and get it, because youth involved in municipal conversations and governance is very important, specifically in our community where we know, especially after the master plan, that we don't have a lot of opportunity. So we need to continue that phase moving forward. So I will say, I was pleased to be able to just go and say like, yeah, let's bring it here first, right? Like, let's see where it starts, let's see how it goes. And then on the back end with like, you know, everything with the town and how it expands in the future. We can definitely make sure we do everything by the books, by the board. And it will probably need to be taken to the board for certain
I think so,
things and
yeah.
changes. But it doesn't mean that it's, you know, actually it means that it's a good place, at a good place that it's starting, that we have someone that's an advocate to get it going.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, with anything, there's always the caveat of,
We are always looking for people to contribute.
I totally agree. Where there's more town influence and town time, what does that detract from, right? Because our time is already here for the things that have been set in place, like our strategic plan and everything that we're trying to accomplish. So, you know, with you guys, and you know, I would just say like, where are we gonna help out as far as this board goes? Because I know you guys are so passionate about, you know, the progress and youth in our community. But having Tobin here is the first start to all of this.
I like it.
I love the
I
idea.
don't think it's gonna be as hard to get going as we think either.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be something that we could roll in.
Work on the selection process, figure that out.
Okay.
I assume it's gonna be similar to the PROST board, right? When we just do interviews. So, we'll probably wanna get something like that rolling and then, you know, get interested candidates for the board, you know, an official number of officials to serve on the board. And then, get you guys to, have your own first meeting. Would we need to chaperone a first meeting
I think
or in general?
if we just step back from that just for a little bit and just see what the, you know, like what an application process looks like with the town,
Yeah.
and or what it would look like from a student prospect with PSD as well, because I know, you know, like, I guess when I say town staff and town time, like, when is that, what does that look like for your board in your prospect? I'm not asking you to answer that question now. Like, if you were to work with PSD and you could get like credit for it or something, like, is that something that happens in school? So that's during town time, so that we can set meetings during our time, but like adding that to our schedules and meetings that we already have in the evenings, like this one, trustee meetings, that adds more workload. It does add more workload if it's during town time, but we can schedule around that if we're planned on being in. So like, that's kind of what, from my standpoint, it would look like to start with. And then working with what it looks like from the selection side. Is it like all Wellington Middle High School? Is it some from Rice? Is it some from ISO? Like all ages of youth, you know, like
for sure.
where are we at with that? So this is just the
Okay,
first
okay.
piece of conversation. So take that back and think about it, or maybe get some advice. But I think, you know, if we're having a youth advisory board, where is it at? Right? Like, are we, and since we talked, I've kind of had some more ideas and everything, and I think this group will have ideas,
Fifth
but.
graders being really interested.
Yeah.
They have started a club at Rice as well that, I mean, who knows if it will happen again this year, but that is focused on very similar theme.
Yeah.
Caring first.
So we could have like, a representative from each elementary school.
Yeah,
With
I
that,
agree.
if we
Yeah,
have an
yeah,
existing.
as long as we have a.
Could be the
staff
staff
advisor.
Thoughts? Cause I know, and I do wanna open it up to John and Laurelyn to give space, because it was kind of Laurelyn and John's brainchildish to last year, or maybe even a year and a half ago, where they're like, we need the space for the youth to come to us, because we see it from our angle looking down. Where's their angle looking up? That was, I'm not verbatim, but basically what you said to us.
You know, I think our interpretation was that we would have, yes, someone from the high school, and we had even talked about student body president coming. To just give input, right? It's not a voting member. We're not talking about something.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for
You know,
sure.
anything like that, but more like just perspective.
Yeah.
And what we're missing and things like that. So,
Yeah,
John,
Yeah, I think when it was originally thought up, the main idea was to get more from the high school, middle school age, because we already do cater to a lot of the smaller kids. And we just know that there's a lack of recreation in that area. So I don't wanna say I wanna limit to just one person from the high school or, force kids that just don't wanna do it, that are young, that have no interest in sitting in a meeting. But finding people that actually wanna volunteer and do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great. I just wanna make sure we're focusing on being well-rounded in our discussions with that. So. I don't know. Fifth graders coming to meetings and sitting still for 2 hours might be a handful.
And I think they could write a proposal and present it, and then they could be here for
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
There's
But
a
that's
topic.
great
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
too, if we're talking about for the good of the town, like, we have kids who experience such high levels of anxiety that they can't even raise
Yeah.
their hand in class, and this gives them the opportunity to engage in ways that only benefit.
And I think there's another aspect to look at it too, is if we do start doing some of the other boards and there's like the planning commission and maybe, finance, and then there's kids that are actually focused on that for school,
Mhm.
and that's what they wanna do, then that might be somebody that comes and is passionate about it, so.
Yeah. And again, let me just say that could be further down the road for sure. I think this is just definitely the first step.
Just get a
It's
foothold.
like,
Yeah.
and here would be, a good space for learning a little bit of governance and understanding where we would be. Just coming from a town
Yeah.
perspective.
What would an ideal situation look like for you?
Just for if we had something for the PROST board or town.
Or, yeah. from your
So-
perspective, what do you think?
I can do both. So for the PROST board, it would probably look like, it sounds like we want kind of both that elementary perspective and that middle high perspective. So maybe we could do like, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Landon.
Landon?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I'm Tobin.
I know.
But like, oh, okay.
Texting your mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my mom's a star. Yeah, sweet. Well, like Landon was saying, it'd be some great experience to get some younger kids in here, so I think maybe like a lighter representation from the elementary schools, maybe. Like they get to sit in here with us and help us for, some of that meeting, but maybe not all of it, and then have a heavier representation from the middle and high school level, from Wellington over here. I think that'd be super cool, and just being able to sit around a table like this and talking about like what are some things we want to talk about within recreation in our parks, that we'd like to, send to those who have the power to actually make change, and understanding that we do have the power to make change and we're not just living in a space where we can't change anything. And then if we're talking town-wide, I think the way Fort Collins does it is they have a board like this, and they draft an annual report, and that goes to their city council. And they say, if our opinion on these issues that we think are important to youth is this. And that report could be like, just a 20-page summary of whatever they think is important. And maybe that could look like liaisons to all the different boards, or maybe just an independent advisory commission that writes that report. But that's kind of what my original vision was, but I'm totally open to different ideas of how this can work. And I totally agree. Maybe that first step is having either a representative or like an auxiliary board to PROST that advises y'all and just bring some perspective to the room.
Oh, that's
great.
I mean,
Okay, if we have an idea, or maybe we can talk about this at a future meeting. I know we have a lot to go over tonight. I have some other ideas. Again, from the town side of how it could possibly work and make it be influential. And it wouldn't be as, I hate to use the word cumbersome, but is on every single board having to change every single, like the ordinance and then all of their bylaws and all that kind of stuff, like, but there's still an opportunity, like they sit down and they look at minutes and understand what those boards went through and then talk about it, or watch virtually, like that they sit down and do that and watch 3 videos of the different boards virtually talk together. But then your main liaison comes here as the focal point for our board, like once every 3 months or something like that. And then when they bring
Yeah.
that together as a board, then maybe biannually, they can do some sort of report for the Board of Trustees, something like that. So it doesn't take too much from anybody, but everybody's learning, everybody's growing, everybody's understanding a little bit of what local governance is, but we also have touch points kind of everywhere, but we're not specifically in the first year, 2 years, 3 years, like just burdening without the work plan.
Yeah, I
So-
totally agree. Yeah.
I think it's such a great idea, just to have an
So-
opportunity for the younger demographic to communicate. I
Yeah.
mean, that's huge, I mean.
I think it would give them the opportunity as a board to put it together themselves, get it vested, and then have some bylaws. And then kind of go. And talk about the things that they want to talk about, rather than, all the things that are on our work plan, but react to them.
Yeah, I think that, obviously we have to look at what we can do from the town perspective with Wellington, but I guess my ask of you, Tobin, would be if you can spend some time sitting down and doing a little bit of research and fleshing out, like, these are some things that Windsor does in
Okay.
their school district. This is how Fort Collins utilizes it, their board. And look at how they do those and maybe gather some ideas from them that you can say, hey, this might be a good place for us to start when it comes to putting this in place for our school.
Yeah.
And then we talk about kind of how that slots into the town piece, because I think that's a good piece for you and
Yeah.
whoever you decide to incorporate in that to
For
really flesh that out. Like, that's a great experience for you guys to sit down and
Yeah.
look at how that works.
I agree.
So that would, I think, be, from my perspective, be kind of the first.
Yeah.
Are you able to attend one of Fort Collins meetings, their youth group?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think that's something worth
Shouldn't be
seeing, if you
shabby.
could just sit in on a meeting and see how it goes,
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, I'll definitely look into that. I mean, I'm sure it's like a regular
Yeah.
meeting where, the public can attend, so.
Well, I'm sure they would be glad to
Yeah.
have you too, then.
Seriously, I can't imagine anyone in local government being like, yeah, less involvement,
Yeah.
please. Like,
I think even from the school, the school
Yeah.
perspective, like committing with those, or communicating with those
Okay.
other, Fort Collins schools, like, does Rocky have that, or does Pooter have
Oh,
a program
gotcha.
like that?
Yeah,
From that perspective, looking at what the other school advisory, if they have a
Sure.
youth advisory board, what does it look like to build that out, and how do
Okay.
they function?
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing kind of reach out to Fort Collins and some of the other municipalities around here and research kind of what their programs are looking like.
Yeah. I
Sweet.
think that'd be a great
Yeah.
place
That's
to
also
start
keep
for
in
you.
mind too, that Fort Collins is a lot bigger, so.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
Um,
for sure.
Even if we can get group ideas from them, we might have to make some modifications, of course.
Right, yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. It's
Cool.
awesome that you're looking to undertake that. I think it's a great piece for our community.
Yes, ma'am. Cool.
And I would say if you have any interest in connecting with any of us, don't be afraid to reach out. Billy can put you in contact with any of us if we can
Yeah.
help
Yeah,
in
for
any
sure.
way with that, or if you want somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Okay,
Don't be afraid to reach out.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right, I don't know.
Excellent.
Nice, that was a solid 3 minutes, Tony. You're.
It's hard to limit to 3 minutes. You got somebody.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that
No,
was
it's
supposed to
okay.
be 3
No, I
minutes.
told him that on the phone. I was like, public comments 3 minutes, but this is a different space. We're okay. We're okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's
We're all
the
good.
initial,
Yeah.
discussion you had, but then when we start asking questions, he's allowed to answer them,
Yeah.
right? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was great. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
I would say this is a public meeting. You're more than welcome to stay. We're gonna talk about capital funding and our priorities moving forward, but you are more than welcome to also do whatever it is you need to do the rest of the evening.
I mean, I don't got very much going on. Maybe this can be the first part of my research, right?
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
I think it'll give you some insight into.
Yeah, stick around then.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Wow.
Cool.
No other public?
Just, Mayor, do anything.
Okay.
I don't know if she hasn't raised her hand or anything, but I'll allow it if she needs to.
Okay, we'll move on to action items, discussion items, CIP planning and budgeting exercise.
All right, I believe,
Do you want to do Jason's presentation first?
I think that's the presentation. I mean, I would love Jason to now jump on. I know he's sitting very patiently listening to this. Probably not the first time you've interacted with a youth advisory board in your past or the potential of one.
Yeah, for sure. I love joining, meetings when we're talking about, advocating for teens and individuals to be involved in the town process. So good stuff, guys.
Yeah. I know it's not part of the contract, but any thoughts?
Yeah. I do. And if you want, Billy and Eric, we could take it offline, but happy to share with you. And actually, I already emailed you a link for the youth advisory panel, which is a panel with not non-authorities, but essentially it's for Westminster, Colorado. They won the gold medal 3 times, meaning they're a good organization, good model to follow.
Please.
And really, what they do is they pick one service project a year, and then they find ways to learn about the city. It is citywide, but it's very much nested in parks, recreation, open space, and trails. And there's a lot of reasons. There's just a natural fit there. The other thing I would say, because I know I get to talk about the master plan tonight, Billy, talk about one of your strategic initiatives and community engagement, and there's those opportunities there. So,
Right into it.
But excellent stuff. Oh, and kudos to the young man tonight. It takes a lot of courage and initiative to come to a town process and speak these types of ideas. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Billy,
Right.
Can I go ahead and share my screen? I'll follow your lead, sir.
You got access.
You got access. Go ahead.
Okay,
Let her rip, Jason.
What's the Wi-Fi
Awesome.
password? Oh, right there.
Thank you.
Billy, can you confirm you can see my screen, please?
Confirmation.
Awesome. So thank you, team, for having the opportunity to do an interactive capital fund priorities exercise with us. And Billy and I and Eric worked together on this just to make sure that while we're already, the team is already starting to implement the recent master plan, we're just fresh off the adoption as a town. And so the integration with the board feedback and preparation of the capital plan is certainly something that staff is working hard on. Granted, it's just been a very short time, but we do want to, I know Billy wants to take every advantage and opportunity to learn from the board. So just kind of as a reminder, and I know you've seen this already. By the way, it is a pleasure seeing everyone tonight. Highlights of how the master plan helps guide the capital process. And to be clear, you don't have to follow precisely the master plan, but yet I know how hard everyone at the table here worked on it, and certainly staff and the community. It's meant to be a guide. And over the next 10 years, so while we may have a lot of ideas, it's really spread over 10 years, and it's intended to be flexible. So as funding and opportunities become available, staff has the opportunity to pursue those. And of course, the advisory board this evening plays such an important role, as you have already, leading up to the master plan as far as providing feedback on things like the capital program. So the master plan culminated with 3 strategic initiatives, which include creating a connected community, balancing resources and services with evolving needs, improve organization vitality. Those are things that you've seen already, but just a reminder. So I won't read all these to you because I know you've seen them already, but around the area of creating connected community, we talk about ways to bring community members together and strategic partnerships, things like that, and looking at the infrastructure as far as that do have those opportunities to support bringing people together in Wellington. Also from balancing resources, this is about thoughtful reinvestment and also making sure that we can sustain things that we commit to. So for instance, tonight, if there's a capital item you might have in mind, the opportunity might be, hey, can we sustain this? Is this something we can sustain into the future? And I know Billy and Eric are bringing forward recommendations on things for thoughtful reinvestment, because I've seen the preliminary recommendations for the capital program. And then also on organization vitality, there's a lot of needs in Wellington that are you're kind of catching up on, if you will, around your services, repairs, infrastructure needs, those sort of things. So it's that, but it's also looking at how resources are being utilized just to maximize that with the limited, obviously every organization's limited public funding for services, just to being thoughtful and prioritize those. So that's just a quick reminder. And the reason I say that is because as I know Billy's working very hard to begin further to blend the voices of the community and the master plan process into everything. Just, I think, a helpful reminder as we dive into the capital program this evening. You've seen this before because you developed it. This is, in fact, the capital fund, to be clear, the capital fund priorities that were identified for 2025. So you'll see a list of those there. I won't read all these to you because you're already familiar with them. But it's important that we bring them up. And I could, by the way, team, I can go back to any one of these slides and I'll lean on Billy to pause me if needed to review any of these. And certainly Billy and Eric can walk you through these. But we certainly haven't forgotten about the commitments we've already made leading into the capital plan this year. And this is one of the ways to kind of showcase those things that were shared by PROST as priorities. From a preliminary capital recommendation standpoint, I saw this from Billy and Eric, and I wanted to make sure that this was in the packet and in front of you. These are some of the things that are being considered. And what we did as a team is that we started to, as best as possible, track those as it relates to the strategic initiatives of the master plan. So of these items, which do they relate to 1, 2, 3 of the strategic initiatives? And it doesn't mean like it needs to have 3 or needs to have 2, it needs to have 1. It's just simply a way for Billy and the community and everyone to track how the plan is being implemented and how that's linked to the voices, again, of the community. So from here, you have the preliminary approach from Billy, prepping for the upcoming budget opportunities, everything from replacing soft trails through ADA improvements, through mower replacements. And remember, a couple slides back, I said a lot of this is catch up and providing, updating resources to deliver those services. That's a lot what this is. Billy or Eric, did you want to say anything else about these so far? Because again, these are preliminary, but any other highlights you guys wanted to share?
Yeah, very preliminary, I would say on here, and let us remember that we have not stacked our capital program for Parks and Recreation for multiple years, knowing that we would have this process with the master plan and have this process that we've gone through and listened to the community and to sit down with everybody at this table and everybody that we've had touch points with, and then bring the strategic initiatives into everything that we've done in the past, which is a slide before the PROST priorities, as well as the things that Eric and I have valued and know we value internally and operationally over the last 4, 5, 6 years that are necessary. And then as the change of, don't want to get too deep into it right now because we'll probably talk about it later. Like Jason hit on it. Like this is not we are doing this next year. We are doing it the following year. We're doing it in 7 years. Like it's very much a flexible plan because if a grant comes up or if revenues meet or if revenues exceed, that might move something up or move something back if they don't. But to hit on this, like a lot of the things that we've done in the past when we built this are here. And a lot of the things that we know we need are already stated, but there are a lot of other things that we'll bring up tonight if we go through another exercise on the whiteboard, like we talked about, that we know need to be done, and we're changing kind of our recycling program and with equipment and vehicles and all that kind of stuff. So that all needs to be incorporated into all of this.
And yeah, thank you, Billy. And on the subsequent slides, we are going to lead you through an exercise that I think probably puts it at a level that it might be a little easier to follow, but still provides every opportunity to call out your specific ideas on projects and things like that. So we're going to come back to this more or less through the subsequent slides and really asking for your guidance on where staff should focus their priorities. So I'll continue unless, Billy, there's any questions yet in the room on this anymore. Okay.
Chris?
Okay, I'll continue. And so when we look at the voices of the community, the comprehensive analysis, the master plan efforts, these are some of the needs for parks, trails, and facilities. You have a very strong overall system, but with limited excellence. That doesn't mean you're not an excellent department. That's not what the plan says. It just says that there's opportunities to really maximize what you already have. There's an emerging trail network, but there's also significant gaps. Those are things that I'm sure this team is already well aware of. There's positive amenity to population ratios, but they mask uneven distribution. That's another way of saying that generally you exceed benchmarks for your population for the types of amenities you provide, but as far as the ratios of the amenities and where they're dispersed in your community, as far as the ability to access those, that's another question. Then also on parks and trails and facilities, I talked about park distribution. You have pockets of areas on different sides of the expressway and other areas in your community that just have gaps, and we want to be thoughtful about that. We also want to balance, with your agricultural history and the many great natural resources you have. The community is saying, yes, we want to have areas that are activated that we can enjoy the open space and trails at the same time. We want to make sure we're being, doing it in a smart way, right? So we're not just developing everything. Walking equity does require immediate attention. You have some pretty significant gaps, just as a reminder, which you probably already know around your community as far as walking and getting around Wellington. So when we look at the recommendations that came through visioning from the board, from staff, from everyone, from the voice of the community, as a reminder, and don't worry, this will be written down again when we do the exercise together. It was on trails. It was advancing east-west trail connectivity. It's extending the north-south trail corridor and regional connections, improving walkable access to parks and schools in the downtown, and integrate trail and mobility planning. That's really about our regional partners. From the area of parks and facilities, taking our quality of parks from adequate to excellence. It goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, activating open space with amenities that encourage use, address geographic equity and amenity distribution, close priority access gaps with targeted park reinvestment, and advance the Wellington Community Center as the master plan's anchor capital project. So that's parks and facilities. And one more, because we certainly don't want to forget about programs and services. Now, programs and services themselves, you wouldn't obviously necessarily see a program line item in the capital plan. However, as I'm sure everyone knows, is that many of the capital needs in repairs and facilities support the ability to run these services. So that's kind of where they have that intersection. And so when we talk about focus areas that we learn from the community into the process, it's developing that aquatics portfolio. It's expanding early childhood and youth non-sport activities. It's strengthening adult fitness and wellness offerings. It's expanding pickleball programming. It's increasing family and cultural programming and diversifying revenue beyond sports as those key areas from your planning efforts. So I know I went fast, but I also realize that you've seen that before. So we are going to do a bit of an exercise, and this is one of those meetings where we do want you to use your devices. So if you could please use your device. And by the way, this first question is just for fun, just to make sure that everyone can has the ability to participate, and there's no problems, and certainly we'll pause to make sure. You can either use the QR code on the screen, or you can go to menti.com, and if you do, you just enter in that number, and you should be queued up with this question of what is your favorite movie. And I see 8 people already in, which is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, why not?
Harry Potter movies, obviously, right?
Obviously.
Is that an image of Harry Potter in there? That is,
Oh, who
guys, whoever
would
did
not say
that.
the Princess Bride? I love Harry Potter, but come on.
Princess Bride,
Billy-
it wasn't enough
That
that
was
we
me.
put in our own.
You type it in.
Okay, sorry.
Please,
Not part of
Billy,
this.
are you judging our picks?
No, I love the Princess
Steve
Bride.
I showed my
No.
kids the Princess Bride for the first
Yeah,
time,
okay.
and my youngest was like.
Goonies, who put in the
He
Goonies? That was
like,
my
"This
second
is-
choice.
this is- Yes, keep watching.
You guys are awesome. And Billy, did you bring snacks tonight? If you did, whoever did the little design next to Harry Potter should get an extra cookie or something.
My name is not Billy. It is Amigo Montoya. My father.
So,
How are ordering pizza for tonight?
Oh, we forgot
Did-
about that. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Bill.
did anyone, and by the way, one of these is probably me because I was just testing on my device too, but it looks like everyone had the opportunity to enter in something. So did anyone have any challenges using it? Anyone need any help? There we go. Okay.
No, we just
Then-
need Billy to have ordered pizza like we requested.
We can call him pizza.
So here we go, team. This is going to be the first prioritization. Okay. So you should have the ability to move up and down on your screen priorities. And first, I'm asking you about trails. And there's a lot of functions that go into each of these, but I'm trying to make this easy on you. If you could, these are individual votes, by the way. Please go individual at first if I didn't say that already. Please just, with your best judgment of what you know about these concepts, and I know you guys know a lot about these things because you're the community experts, please drag and drop these to create your individual priority first of how you would advise Billy to spend his time and resources to try to pursue these in order. So here, someone submit. Yeah, you're starting to see this is real time. So 3 people have responded, and you can see how the screen's looking.
Here,
And what
Sarah,
you'll-
Eric
you'll
and I
see-
are not involved in that, so go take our space.
Oh, I'm fine. No, I can
Oh,
see
who-
here
who-
and here. I'm just complaining about being old.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like everyone entered, which is fantastic. So, and again, this is kind of the lens of, just giving, and all these are, by the way, everything we put up here has been identified through visioning, which is through, again, all the process of the master plan as priority. So it's not like one of these is not a priority. It just helps a little bit more understand what might be some of the most important ones from PROST. And the next one is going to be about parks and facilities. So here you have investing in parks to activating open space, to improving walkability, to addressing geographic equity, to close priority access gaps in parks, and then pursue the anchor. Oh, sorry, shouldn't have been cut off. That anchor capital project is the community center. I apologize. That last one should read anchor capital project of the community center.
So we're seeing one of the same ones again. Improve walkable access to parks, schools, and downtown.
You are. Yeah, you can disregard that one. I'm getting an error and I apologize. You can disregard and improve.
6.
Yeah.
So that should be at the bottom.
We'll tell you what, guys, no matter how it ranks, I'm going to pull it out anyway, just so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Because the reason is because I already have that in a previous slide. I do apologize. That was an error on my end.
Madam Mayor participating.
It looks like she signed on.
Yeah, it does. She might not have one.
That's the
That's the
center.
community stuff.
7, 10.
You guys are doing awesome. I appreciate it. Oh, and I did notice that someone else might have been on the call and might have dropped off, and that might have been one of your PROST members, I'm guessing.
That was probably the mayor.
Okay,
Most
I wasn't
likely.
sure. So I'm going to go ahead and advance, but if someone's still working,
Oh, she's back.
Oh, she's back.
if someone's still working, please stop me. We have, so while we ask you to identify those as separate areas, in a minute, I'm actually going to force all the areas to be prioritized together. So there we go. I just wanted to give you this opportunity first as these separate areas. So I apologize in advance, although this should be a lot easier to read on your device than the screen. Now I'm combining everything you saw on one priority. So now you are comparing trails to parks to facilities, and you're doing the same process here as you did before, which is to prioritize your rankings. And again, the anchor capital project is the community center. I don't know why it's cutting off.
So improved walkable access is on there twice.
Yeah, I apologize. So the good news is I have that from the previous slides. I'll be okay figuring out what that is. So that's an error. It shouldn't have done that. I apologize. But still, although otherwise, it still carries weight on the rest of the items. And you guys are doing great work, and I appreciate your patience and going through this exercise. And we have one more ranking after this, and then one more open-ended question that I've prepared for the team. I'll give it another few seconds just in case we have that. There we go. That one more coming in. Awesome. Great work, team. And you have one more ranking coming up. Now we're talking about services, and yes, some of this takes it out of the capital fund because this may be a blend, but it also, depending on the resources available, let's say courts or what have you to support this, it still is somewhat of a capital question. But I didn't want to forget about services. So here you're ranking the opportunities to focus on services, and again, you're helping Billy and team with guidance of where to put most of their efforts.
Well, while we're waiting for this one, looks like it's going somewhat quick. Just did have the chance to thank you, Jason, and everybody here, because after the master plan was adopted and the crunch time of when first round of budgeting comes through and capital projects being a large part of not just our budgeting process, but also one of the key deliverables of Jason and his team's ability to help us move forward after the master plan and implementation phase all had to come together pretty dang quickly. That doesn't mean that this is going to be the last time we talk about it. This is just the first budget swing, but in the past, I think most of the time, all the time, it was kind of just staff saying we need this, we need that, we think we want this, and hopefully it sticks on the wall. That kind of mentality is kind of blowing away, right? Like, we've done the master plan, we've got great people in this room, we've got the community input, we have the backing from, amazing support from Barry Dunn to actually go through a process where we can look future forward and again, be adaptive, but just thank you all for being here because that was quick. Jason put this together super quick after all of that and, and took input from Eric and I and our side of the budgeting process. And we just tossed him some things. He's like, this is what we're going to do. Like, thanks, Jason. Sounds great. You got it. Thanks for the implementation phase to start tomorrow. Does that sound good? Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah,
We
well, Billy, thank you. We knew we had to get a very fast start on helping with the initial capital program, and I'll admit certainly it's not perfect coming right out of the planning process, but this is a similar tool that a lot of organizations use. Maybe not Menti, but from the standpoint of ranking into the areas that the community and the planning process really identified as focus areas. Hopefully, of course, I'm sure Billy and we're all interested in feedback, but hopefully this helps keep things a little easier from the standpoint of advising Billy. Because the challenge is this team, and I know you know this already, but in some of these capital areas, it will absolutely depend on available funding. So the ability for Billy to come back and say, hey, we did these exercises, and to describe that, let's say in a grant application, is really powerful. And plus, frankly, I know we care and the team cares very much about what your advice is on how to focus on resources. So I wanted to go ahead and do that real quick ranking exercise. And actually, I have one more that I'd like to ask you. So I'm going to temporarily stop sharing, Billy, because I wanted to also, because I know you guys did a bit of a whiteboard before. So I'm going to do something very quickly like that. But I don't know, Billy, if you want to do a recap of the capital process, the steps that are involved and that sort of thing, while I'm pulling up that other. The next question is going to be if you have a particular area of capital focus. You've heard a lot of general themes of areas, but if you have something really that is important and on your mind, maybe it's, I don't know, building an artificial turf field. I'm just totally making that up, or lighting an area of the community, or moving the skate park or something like that. We'd still love to capture that, kind of like how you did a whiteboard before as a PROST.
Yeah, we've got the whiteboard up right now.
Okay.
I just kind of made like a consideration, a potential year, just as year question mark. I should just put, and I'll change this to priority, whether it's short, medium, or long term. I will change that from year to priority, and estimated value, if we can maybe just even put a number on it in our mind. Like Eric and I actually have good ideas of what some of this might cost if you throw something out there. But then just notes that we can all just like when we talk. But then Eric will present kind of everything after this that we've gone through on our end, or the start of it, the middle of it. That captures all sorts of different things. So we still have a little ways to go.
Okay, Billy, I have the
Sorry,
ability.
Jason, I don't want to go over you. We did talk about the capital process last time we spoke. Does everybody understand what we're talking about? Where we're at with revenue and the different restricted funds and all those kind of things, where we're at in the process, and then when we get there, recommendations versus what we can handle and all that, medium, long term. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was very short, but we've talked about it multiple times. If you guys have any more questions, we can just throw them out here.
And also what I did, team, is this slide is just asking, and you can enter more than one item. But again, individually using your device, and if you signed off, you can just use the screen again here to sign back in, and you should be right at this slide, which is now asking the team any particular capital projects that come in mind that are important for the community. Again, we talked about umbrella areas and which were really fantastic, I think, but anything else that you want to just make sure that Billy, really is aware of. Then of course we're going to have conversations after this, but I thought this is the last exercise like this for this evening. But I thought, why don't we just do an open-ended ask to you? So feel free to take a couple of minutes here. We'll give you at least 2 minutes at least. And again, you can enter more than one. You want to submit another one, feel free.
Careful what you ask for.
Well, here's what I would say too. I went up and talked with finance before this just to how I should round the overall conversation about this. And the idea is just like, what do we need? Does it match a master plan? Where are we at? Again, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen on the year or the date, but we got to get it out there. Right? So dream big. Revenues don't match. Good luck. We'll prioritize as a team and we will give you our opinions from an operational standpoint where we're at any given year. Like you can think of a billion different things, I'm sure. Fire them out there. Like dream big. We've all thought about different things. We've been to different parks. This is what's great about our park tours, right? Like all the things we've talked about. Eric and I probably can't even remember how much we need to capture. And our list is extensive, but not all encompassing. Yeah, because we also when we see it, we're realists, but let it rip. Put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out there, right? Because we have. I think I wrote down like 17 to 25, and then Eric was like, "Well, but we also need equipment." I was like, "Ah." Real quick, text while you guys are finishing this. But also remember, you guys drive this process, right? Like we want all of your input. You're here for a reason. And darn good reasons too. Because you care.
You want to second something? Do we just enter it again?
Yes.
I did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, enter it again would be fine. Yep. For secondary, so when I thought you said you want to enter.
Right, right. So I'm seeing things that are gonna start ringing bells.
You want to see?
Yeah, I put one on there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Just one? Come on,
Yeah,
you
the
gotta
computer.
dream
Yeah.
big, dream
Okay.
big.
Yeah, I want to second that Fort Collins one. That would be awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah,
For me,
for me, having lived in the area for a while, I tell you, Fort Collins, Windsor, Loveland, Timnath, just all those areas have a real special opportunity, I think, for connectivity of trails to do something unlike most communities in the United States can even do. So, real excited for you guys, that partnership.
Let's just look at that, like right there. Right? Kids riding bikes on small sidewalk.
or not on sidewalks.
Nice.
You know what's awesome, and you guys have been is so amazing throughout the entire process. And just at a quick look, these are very much aligned with the umbrellas of the arching sort of plan, strategic initiatives. And so this is really outstanding.
Yeah. At least I want to get.
Jason can have all these results.
I know you're gonna have those results, but I do want to talk about some of those things, and I'd love them to get up there because some of those things we need to consider where we're going, what it looks like, and how we work on it.
That amount, we can type them and then add them to the board later. Or add them to the board right now.
Or do screenshots.
Yeah, yeah, Billy, you're gonna get all of these, and I could do that quickly. By the way,
Sorry, what did you say, Jason?
oh, I said you're gonna get all these results, and I can get them to you actually really quickly.
Okay.
So just let me know. Yeah, and it actually it gives me the opportunity if I want to group responses, and I'll go ahead and do that just to make it a little easier on you guys. So I'm sorting this.
It was high up on the list.
Mhm.
If people asked for it.
So far, it really falls into these groups, and I'll go back so you can see the other visual too. I'm sure some people might have been interested in seeing the specific ones, but right now it's talking about 7 groups from park facilities to community center to shade structures to trail connectivity, outdoor recreation, accessibility, and non-categorized new responses. But if I want to unhide that, I can do that again. You can see them all individually.
Right.
Sorry, I did yell on a few of those, didn't I?
I'm gonna put Wrigley Field on there.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty big.
Very big.
Field of Dreams.
Forest Views Reservoir.
What?
Wrigley Field.
You build it.
Argo Stadium.
Put it up.
Train.
Put it up there. I'm not joking, put it up there. We'll talk with North Pooler, that's my
Fine.
directive.
I know it's not.
I have that
hard,
on
it's
for
just
you.
train.
4 and Smith.
Yeah,
Let's Smith's 2,
5.
5. So 4 and 5.
Or Smith number 4.
No, I think it's 2.
Oh, nice.
All right, I'm gonna
Number.
put Smith and 4, right?
Yeah.
Me? I'm here, guys, I'm here, I just changed my last name.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's 3.
Is
None of us were right, just, let's split the difference.
Smith is 3? Anyway, you know what I mean.
Man.
Reservoir number 3.
Then you have to learn fencing, and you put fencing on.
There's gonna be a lot, and we're gonna take the information, and it's not always gonna be. It might not even be on our plan yet, but that's another thing to say, like, something might not be on our plan, but it's on that priorities list, and we have an opportunity. And we come back and reinvestigate into it
Mhm.
based on where we're at with other things that might be affected, and just say like. Just a conversation we're having, right? Like, let's just say Smith Lake does present an opportunity, totally hypothetical. Like, that might not be on our 2 to 5 year, or whatever, it could be just like a thing, but then. The opportunity comes and we say, well, we can meet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these goals and then match it with strategic initiatives. We didn't think that was a possibility. Next year, let's put it on the CIP and see what happens. So.
Yeah.
The more we have, the better we are. Like. Dream big, put it on a list, keep it there, because all of this impacts the community. All of our ideas, all of our thoughts, all of our feelings will impact the community. What we can get accomplished is limited by what our resources are, but we'll figure that out as a team.
Mhm.
Oh, my phone. Right.
We'll go ahead and keep this open, I think, maybe to the top of the hour, which I'm showing is about 2 more minutes. And Billy, I don't know if you want to transfer that over discussions further to the whiteboard. I can run a very, very quick analysis on all these items of feedback, and I can email it to you so you'll have it, real time to kind of give a quick summary as to what were some of the, more most common areas of interest. And I always say that in itself doesn't necessarily mean one thing's more important than the other. It just starts helping with grouping in conversations. And the nice thing about having several areas that maybe all fall into outdoor recreation, Billy and team may run into a wall, and they may find out, well, geez, we can't lease Smith Lake and for right now, but we can do that in year 4. I wonder what we can do for outdoor recreation in the next 4 years. Maybe that's a community garden. Maybe that's fishing elsewhere. Maybe that's some other things. That's where a lot of this comes into shape. Excellent. So I don't think I'm seeing any more entered. I will stop sharing. And then, Billy, I can run some real quick analysis.
Excellent. Just so you know, Eric's gonna go get pizza in about 10 minutes.
Yay.
You're invited. You're invited, Jason. We'll throw a piece at the screen.
Nice.
We could draw.
You know
it.
what?
You
You know,
guys have
knowing
to-
knowing this team, you'll probably bite into it and tell me how good it is, and then you'll be like, "Hmm."
True.
Hey,
Uh,
actually, commercial break. You know, Billy, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but the master plan does have another step called an implementation workshop.
Yes.
And where it's part of our overall planning process that we do with every community. We run an implementation workshop with the team to formulate the first 18 months of goals with staff, and we use the whatever template the town uses or would like us to develop. We do that, and so there still is that step of the implementation workshop and a couple of other things, but just wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
So we are gonna see your face in person one more time at least.
Yeah, you are, and I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, tonight just didn't work out, but yes, you will. Yes.
No, this is what you're doing here is great. I think it's very valuable for everybody at this table. I'm seeing a lot of smiling faces and head shaking, nodding. This is solid. Reeling it back 3 years ago, we had nothing like this when I first jumped on 4 years ago, and this is now something like this is going to be an annual thing where we get together and reevaluate, and that's what the plan is for. That's why we have a master plan, right? Is just to take a moment, a step back every year during budgeting and all the things that we do, and just say, wait, here's the plan. There's what the town is saying. Here's what our master plan is saying. Let's combine it and see where we're at from year 1 to year 5 to every single year in between. With that being said, I don't know what your thought is about sticking around, Jason, or how much more you want to be involved. If you want to send us some of that information, we're just going to start talking internally about everything. The information will be great for us. The information Eric and I have to present would be
Yep.
next. We might take a short break and get
Okay.
pizza and then continue the
Yep.
conversation. I know that, there are
Yeah.
people on this board that might not have all night to be here.
No, it's okay.
So
I'm
we
going to do
might-
this, Billy. I'm going to sign off, but I'm going to get to work right away and that on that
Okay.
analysis for you, and I'll email it
Yep.
to you. And as soon as I send it to you, I'll text you to make sure you know it's available. If you
Got
decide
it.
to put it back in just to help you guys, I'm happy to do so. But at the same time, I know you guys are all over it. But thank you for just letting me be a little bit more part of the conversation on the capital project team. I really appreciate it, and you guys are doing great work. It's really awesome to see you guys doing this.
Thanks, Jason. We can't say how much we appreciate you and your team's work to help us, especially last minute-ish stuff like this, where it's like, hey, we need maybe a little guidance to get us talking.
No problem. Enjoy that pizza, team, and I'll be in touch, Billy.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
Bye, guys. Thanks, guys. Take care.
bye, Jason. That's all I do. Good company.
I get that.
This is zooming in on me. They could go away.
Ooh. All right. So we can take this in a couple different directions. And I want, that was kind of led by Jason. Eric and I can kind of lead the next step. This is intense. It's far too much, Al. Get out my face. Eric can put basically what was in the packet, and then we added some things that we know operationally that we have to see that we know are going to be scheduled out. But also with consideration of other projects that I've kind of been spinning in my mind about what we need to do. And we can do that now. We can take a break to get pizza. I do want to respect everybody's time because I know this is a work session and meeting. I don't want to go too long, but like how long does everybody have tonight?
7:30. I'm good.
7:30? Okay, so we have half an hour.
My kids will start hurting each other, I think.
Yeah, I would say at the latest 8.
8? Okay.
That works.
So let's just power through it. Eric can go get pizza. Okay, do you want to throw on the screen what you've got as far as where we were capital wise and everything that you've seen? And then all the things that we've thought and talked about, not all the things, not even close to all the things. This some of the things. And I would love, as we talk about, I might write, or if someone else wants to write. And then we'll take a picture of any notes or thoughts that we have from up there. And again, nothing has to be scheduled on the date, the time, and it can go from immediate to future in 1 year if certain things happen. And look, like, for instance, Eric and I were just talking through a situation today where, like, we know the public has said through this process, and also we talk to the public on a day-to-day basis, like, we all know we need more shade. It's been brought up in our meetings, right? We're also looking, in viewpoint in general has been kicked over on the CIP year after year after year, push down, push down, push down. Like, we need to do that. We've got to get that done. It needs to be done. And when I talked to Nick today, he's like, yeah, that's something that's a high need because of the community stress on that part. We know the reasons for that. We've got to find the funding for that, and he knows that. Then Eric and I were like, well, we also need the zero shade structure at Sunrise Park. Like, what if we get a new shade structure with the updated viewpoint? Pull that shade structure because it's right sized for Sunrise. So, like, we can think about those types of things, and all we do is pour concrete and buy some benches, and we already have the shade structure. And we start, like, that's how we save capital. That's how we reinvest back into things that we already have that are fine structurally. And maybe that shade structure only lasts 5 to 7 years over there, but we're not investing $35,000 now and we get other projects done. But then we put that on a capital project in 10 to 15 years, or 10 years, or 7 years to redo it then. I mean, same thing with, like, the dog park and the dock and the disc golf. Like, we've got to think that way. And the master plan does say, like, everything we do has to have the multi-use idealism in it. Sure, there's going to be one-offs, right? Like, even the community center in itself ticks like a million different boxes that the community needs. So it's not just a project to build for a swimming pool. It's like all of the things. If the town decides to go that route. So just keep that in mind too, that we might have projects that we want and we can't support it, but there's partners that could support it, or whatever that all looks like.
What was the anticipated cost for the impact fee study?
Great, we should probably ask Jason before he got on there.
Wait, text.
Wait, text him. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it was.
But I can absolutely get an estimate. It's on one of our sheets where it says Jason can provide this. And I completely forgot to ask him tonight.
That was gonna be where I was going to go. It became very evident. For those of us that were able to visit the
So
parks locations. There, okay, the park building, the, if we can even call them that, with Eric after our last meeting, that my big concern is, okay, we have this amazing parks master plan that we've come up with and done, and we're talking about adding all of these things, but are we doing anything to support our staff and our baseline of where we like store equipment and where we store rec gear? Like, what does that look like? And we have to have revenue to update those locations. So we cannot continue to grow our parks plan when our park staff doesn't even have a viable location to staff themselves out of. And so for me, that was a huge eye opener last week. And maybe that's something that you guys are already talking about behind the scenes, but I was like, holy cow, we cannot continue to expand with no foundation.
Kendra, we have been talking about the impact fees and raising them for the last 10 years. So we have not been able to make any traction. It has been brought before the trustees. You can go back through, and I presented 10 years ago to the trustees and asked for higher impact fees. So this is really something that's really important to us and so now we're told that, well, we have to have an impact, or we have to have a study. So fine, if the study's the thing, let's get it done and move forward. We are off from other towns. We're significantly lower than other towns in the area.
And then we talk about how if we do the impact fee study, it actually ticks like three things that we need studies for.
Like a community center study, so what it would be,
We don't have to do 3 separate
Trail and
studies.
So that's what.
Yeah.
It's Nexus.
Yeah.
Study, it's,
Billy, rough guess from AI says like 75 to 100.
Yeah.
I think that for me is a number one priority. We have to have revenue.
and just so everybody knows, that will also balance with. What the actual building cost in our community is. It's not just like if we get a Nexus study, it doesn't guarantee that we're gonna like. Shoot up, it's gonna balance out with all the other impact fees and make sure that we can still have revenue by people coming in to build, because. If you shoot up all of the fees and then you can't build because no developer wants to come in. Then none of that is relevant because you're not getting any of that revenue.
Yeah.
But the study shows where it should be balanced. And 100% correct, we are very low compared to multiple other communities. But to change anything like that, you do have to have some sort of a nexus study. And we could potentially build in, because part of what we're looking to do if we want to move forward with a community center, if the community does, is to look to see what it would be to put something on the ballot at some point. So where that falls into this, so
Mhm.
a study
Yeah.
for all sorts of the fees, that what it takes to move us forward as far as generating revenue from building, what buildings are gonna cost.
There's gonna have to be some sort of tax increase, whether it's a mill levy or a. Or a.
Right. Right, and that, I don't know, like, that wouldn't necessarily be part of the study would just be like, who would support
Yeah,
increasing? And then we would potentially go to a
Go to
tax
that.
system, or whatever that looks like, but
Yeah.
the first steps would be doing some sort of a study with all of this.
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm, mhm.
pretty much.
And there are multiple companies that do that, and just so you all know, we've sat down with different departments. Because there are different boxes that have been checked with them doing more recent studies on their impact fees.
Mhm.
We are way down at the bottom, and we do need to come back up at the top. Or to where everybody else has been doing it, but there are multiples across the town, so we've talked about finding a company that could pair a couple different ones, or just ours. Community center, trails, parks,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like, and then other ones, so.
So to be clear, that would come out
Talked
of the
about-
capital budget.
Yeah, and the capital budget is the part fund,
So
most likely,
if we,
unless we figured out a way not to, but I would assume that it would.
Right.
We're just throwing things at the board right
Yeah.
now, so continue, I mean, I'll be honest, if we talk about every one little thing this long, we're gonna be here till midnight, but. I got all the time in the world, folks, this is my job
yeah,
right now, but, one thing that came up, and I would like to discuss this really quick, is just like, let's just call this, outdoor program / spaces. I would love to invest, but I don't know if this is so much a capital thing as it is as much as a partnership thing, but we could put some money towards building. Some sort of internal infrastructure to help people get to places, because right now we've already met with CPW a couple different times to see what that looks like. And we've talked about, archery and, range lessons and nature walks.
Mhm.
And then this is on CPW land. And then we've talked about also them coming in and doing fishing. And trail safety. On town of Wellington space, and so this would be CPW space.
CBW.
Cobb Lake.
Oh.
Basically, it would be most likely at Cobb Lake unless, so MPIC and CPW broke their lease at number 4 and 3, for sure, 3. And it was proposed that we look into that, but it went so fast and there's no way we had the capital structure. So if we wanted to take something more like that, here's where we get into ideas about this is we have to make sure we have the infrastructure as far as staff and time to take care of that. And we don't have the revenue to get that new parks technician. So to have someone to be able to maintain, so CPW could, or if we entered a partnership with CPW, so that's where this board is very important. Is building those partnerships maybe with these types of programming. And
And
then
it grows. into-
eventually grows into something where we, you know, partner. Or like access.
Could possibly, yeah, get some revenue with some of those programs.
And this type of stuff affects all ages as well as we would love to be able to take this back to the senior center and get them out there. And work at Cobb Lake. So we're working on that a little bit behind the scenes, but I would love this board to keep that in mind. That like if when we need advocates or when I'm looking specifically at you. When we need people to help run programs, if we were not to be able to be there because we were running youth sports. Or we're doing something else and we need an advocate or a liaison that might have to be there with CPW at Cobb Lake. To help, you know, like we'll get the bus over there with the kids, we'll take all the registration and all that kind of stuff, but once they get there. If we've got youth sports going on and we don't have somebody like, that's where this board could come and really do the volunteerism. And say, hey, let me do a walking tour with you and I'll help the CPW person, or I'll be here to make sure that everybody gets off the bus as a liaison for the town of Arlington.
I was gonna say too, I hold an outfitting license for the state of Colorado with
So I was looking at
all
you.
of my. With all the wilderness first responder, like safety certifications too.
Right, and CPW would be the ones running the program.
Yeah,
But if we're taking registration, we also would probably need to
Yeah.
have someone at those places.
Have-
So that's where, you know, I know this isn't a capital thing, but if we can start getting revenue somewhere. And we're also meeting the strategic initiatives, then we're doing. As Jason had that box, we probably have all three of those things checked. In one thing. So what else?
Claudia is about to show one.
Get to
He's just got a Stromboli for himself.
They have that.
Oh.
Need to connect and we balance resources and improve on. Yeah.
I would say one that I see up high on the list would be land purchasing of trails or for parks. Just because if we're trying to set that in a 5 to 10 year space, it's probably time now to start making those connections and those relationships in areas that we see fit. Maybe even get a foot in the door or just scope certain areas out, or how we're going to get the land to connect to Fort Collins, or looking for some like natural areas or open spaces where we could integrate trails and hiking into our open spaces as well.
I'm just gonna put that under as immediate. The directive from the master plan says that it's a very, very, very high priority to connect spaces. We're looking at land purchases. I'm not saying that the purchase of the land is immediate, but the work that we're going to do.
Right.
Has to start now, so. Building those relationships, looking at grants, having the matching funds ready and being able to use restricted funding for that kind of space is something that we need to think about, keeping those restricted funds. I know it's a huge priority of this board, right, and has been to connect TRIF. Specifically the north-south one, I think is something more that this board should prioritize. The east-west one, yes, it's in our master plan. There's gonna be a lot of stuff with CDOT. There's gonna be a lot of stuff with transportation and mobility plan.
Yeah.
Both of them are 100% in coordination with that, and we're trying to get that on CDOT's map about being able to get across there. I'm not saying it's too big for this board, not at all, advocates. But I think our priority should be connecting in town now and also building those partnerships for connecting our regional trails that aren't
Yeah.
so much, you know, like all that stuff.
Thank you for the.
But I think we focus on land purchase as an immediate, as one of our high priorities. That's just what I've got from you. I put it up there. 100% open thoughts, but like,
I think that we've tried to focus on the internal connectivity in our town. I think that's a really high priority for me at least, because if we can't get around our own town, we're talking way too big to be getting into Fort Collins already. But we know the hurdles we have here in town. and they're-
But it looked like that came up higher too when we were doing
Yeah.
the survey, is that
I thought the internal
for
was more
us, the
important.
internal was our top
Yeah,
priority.
so we're
Yeah.
talking about,
And then the gaps that we have and when we have
Yes.
the map with the
Yeah.
red, those are choke points where people can't get to parks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think that should be pretty high on our list too.
coverage, safety,
Closing accessibility. gaps.
closing.
I mean, I know that the east to west is much more CDOT, but to me, that's an equity, I mean, in the
Yeah.
whole piece.
It's part of the piece for sure.
Yeah, and I know the transportation plan will help with that too, of identifying those choke points.
But when you talk about the study even, and we're talking about trails, does any of that reflect back on transportation? And is there any way to get some kind of joint, like, group together?
I think the biggest thing that'll come is that, and I love using this term from our. Director of Planning, Cody Bird, these plans, especially in the trails, are gonna dovetail. And so when we go to get grant funding, we're gonna say we have this one and this one. And that one, like, there's a lot to back what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, so, yeah, because let's be honest, those types of projects. Land purchases, getting with CDOT to make sure that they get it on their 5 to 10 year plan.
Yeah.
Right, or whatever that looks like. It all comes with our plans that are in place. And then we need to probably go out, just looking future forward, like, and get the engineering for it. And once we have the plan for, like, this is shovel ready, give us the money now. The plans all say this, here's the engineering, here's how much it costs.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're gonna do it right away, by any means, but it does say it's more compelling than it is ready to actually be a project, and that's just saying, we need this, we think we want this.
I think I wanna circle back around to talking about the water system at library parks. That is a huge thing, and when we talk about ways we can raise revenue, it means being able to hold tournaments and have a useful space. And so I think that those fields with no shade and no permanent bathrooms other than the library bathroom. And the watering system, which you guys said is an absolute hot mess. That to me is, there's so many things that I look at and I think, oh, yes, that's exciting. And then I think, well, we have to have revenue to get to some of these places. Like, I wanna look big, but I also wanna look at what are changes that we need to make right now that bring in revenue, right?
Well, after that, we had that talk about the water system too and how it just comes on and stays on.
Yeah.
And it's not only just about bringing in revenue, it's about streamlining the revenue we have. And if we're not wasting it
Yeah.
in places because we're not being sufficient or we're not doing the right thing. And that increases what we can spend on other things.
And it even opened up the idea of if it is a more water efficient system, we can open that up towards future grants, saying these are the steps we've been taking to make our parks more sustainable. I would agree with that.
So I would add to the irrigation bathrooms. And ADA compliance, because nothing in those fields. Like, you can't get a wheelchair over to those bleachers, there's no signage that is. And the signs that are there. Block your view of the pictures. Having been there a lot this summer. So if we're maximizing revenue opportunities, that could be a larger scale project.
So let's talk bathrooms real quick, and Eric and I
Big one.
have had this conversation, it is one of those things where we would love to. But it also falls in line with us trying to go out and just open up Smith. Who's gonna do it, when are they gonna do it? How often are they gonna do it? Where's our ability to provide the service that we want to provide? But right now, we've seen the budget, if you guys remember, we're spending like $27,000 a year in parks on 27 on what, for porta potties? Yeah, it's like 27.5. not the greatest service ever. Not, the company's great, sorry, I shouldn't say that, but having a porta potty isn't the greatest service to the community.
100%.
Right, we all know that. They do make them ADA accessible. We can't dictate how often they're maintained. We can go in there and clean a little bit, but we really would need in the future to pick and choose where and when and why to justify that we can keep the service. Because at WCP, we have 4 restrooms and the splash pad, and they're only open for 8 months out of the year, right? And that alone is a very large burden on a day-to-day basis with the staffing that we currently have. So that's kind of the conversation for thought, right?
Opens the door for vandalism. for people.
It does, but so does the porta potties, and we get the calls and we call the company, we have to pay more for them to come, like, it's a cyclical thing, right? Like, there's a cost benefit analysis, like, if we take care of it, we take care of it. But when a kid throws a rock through the window, we have to board it up until black glass can come out because we don't have a glass specialist on our staff. Like, those are the things you have to think about, right? We can take care of some plumbing. But when something breaks and needs to be soldered because we don't have the time and we've got to do all these other things, like we've got to call in a contractor to do that. Those are the things to consider, right, when budgeting. And these are great, like, that's why I said, well, I'll be here till midnight so we can have this conversation about like what it takes to round out, like, because some of this will fall operationally, right? Like a capital investment like directly affects the long-term operational output and ability of our department. 100%. Every time you put port in place in, it reduces the amount of times you have to rake, but then we have to have a contractor come in and fill holes, right? Like there's a give and take, a balance. So we have to take all that into account. Love port in place. Not a huge fan of EWF, but it serves its purpose. Love bathrooms, but do we have the amount of time and people to take care of them? Anything else? What's next?
Get rid of the batting cages. That's a money suck right now, and there's no reason for it.
I second.
I mean, how much money are we pouring into it right now every year? What did we say?
Eric?
What was it, right?
Well, the contractor's contract alone is 10 grand.
Yeah.
Just to open and close.
Give or take if nothing's broken.
Correct, if there's no major repairs, which so far for the last 4 years that happened.
No.
Because the cages are over 15, 20 years old,
These ones?
each machine.
I mean, to me, if we're talking about being able to afford things like people who can upkeep permanent bathrooms. We've gotta do something about where we're losing money, and if that's somewhere we're losing money, then it's gotta go.
I would say we subsidize most of our programs anywhere from 40 to 60%, give or take, is what we try to get to. I mean, there's different programs that have different things indoors. That's a whole new thing. When we look at the batting cages, I wish that we had that. We never did a subsidization, but it's like
If that.
6%. So we're basically, the fund is subsidizing 94 to 95% of what goes on there.
I do feel like Centennial Park should be a priority because when we're able to host events there, it really,
So events,
it boosts our sales tax revenue.
Yeah.
We need to be able to
Amphitheater came up for Centennial Park.
Yeah.
and-
So if we can focus on things that actually brings in revenue.
yeah, and we have that somewhere on our projected list,
Yeah.
event generator, which is
Exactly.
a tow around generator, which costs a lot of money. But then we can do events, we'll talk about it at station, but like
I just think like.
The event staff can
events that
use it,
support our
Main Street could rent it.
businesses,
we can use it, library can use it. A lot of different ideas where someone downtown that gets a permit wants to, they can pay us to use the generator in the stage. So that's all on there too, because those are revenue generators. Let's continue that conversation rather than.
Or
Yeah.
party opportunities like in this town, that's such a big deal, and if we can really have more spaces that can be more easily accessible for families to host their birthday parties. They'll use our local businesses for their foods and celebration and, I don't know, we just spaces for people to host events, whether it's businesses hosting events, the town hosting events, individuals hosting events, like, yeah, just really,
That's
really
what the community
promote it,
center would potentially do,
Yeah.
but we don't know when that's gonna happen, so. And it doesn't mean that's an end all be all, right? A community center isn't just like, okay, we've done our job, we're done. Like Centennial's never going away for downtown business, we also have to reinvest into that space.
Yeah,
And make that a better space,
yeah.
right?
The Centennial's important, very important. It's going, yeah, it's a. It needs the eye, it needs the visibility, and I'm really excited that we're already working towards that, but once we can actually get more visibility from Main Street. That's just gonna be a big game changer.
The other piece that comes into that is finding a new location for a skate park. Because
Yeah.
if we can clear out that portion of things, then it really opens up that space. Say, batting cages are cool.
In acquiring for land purchase, do we wanna make that a priority for a new location? To relocate the skate park?
So I think
It's been talked about for a while.
this is a really solid conversation. To have like the long-term visioning,
Yeah,
so we can start in one place and we can end in another place, I can go really quick. Or I could take a while, but we've got. Centennial, which has public works admin, skate park, which isn't ideal.
yeah,
We just bought a property there, so we know that there's things that are moving. They've gotta move, our park shop isn't great,
Mhm.
right? Admin there has to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
Domino.
yeah,
We need to see all this, it's more of a town thing than just specifically like. Cause we can't move the skate park until we have land, but the skate park's not gonna go until we wanna reinvest in Centennial, we're not
Yeah.
gonna reinvest into Centennial until admin's out of Centennial.
Okay.
It's like where we're at is kind of like, it's a bigger
the
town
pieces have
thing,
to fall into place.
but it has been, yes, it has been asked by. The Board of Trustees to come forward with this, cause they've
Yeah.
heard this too from all of us, so.
Mhm.
We have to have internally a bigger plan, but hearing this from you all is very important. Because we are maintaining these spaces based on strategic initiatives that we've found in our town. So that just can further the plan.
I'd like to see a viewpoint updated. I think that's a solid priority.
Immediate,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean,
like
if it's
as
been
in,
pushed off for years
as
and years
in-
and years.
Like the
It
shades,
would
sure.
It needs.
And again, it's another place that we do programming for sports. And if people can actually stay there and enjoy it and. You know,
Is the rugby team still using it, right?
Mhm. What's he doing? What's he?
No, they usually have like 6 or 8 games with us, somewhere.
right, you hold your hand
Oh,
up.
yeah,
Centennial, can we put that as intermediate?
yeah, that's not
or
priority, that's
long-term?
long.
That can always change to immediate if.
I think it's
elsewhere
immediate,
change.
but
Okay.
with the knowledge that there's
There
dominoes,
are other
that
pieces.
there's multiple steps to that process.
Okay, batting cages.
Immediate.
Stop hemorrhaging.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Library irrigation and rural access.
That's
Immediate,
immediate, the revenue.
especially as it's a programming area right now.
Exactly. Being disabled.
Land purchase, immediate,
And ongoing.
intermediate, ongoing. I should just put ongoing, but. Okay, what else?
Okay.
I know you gotta go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Throw it
That's
out.
pretty good, that's great.
It's niche, but we're losing revenue, from ADA programming. Families with disabilities of all ages are taking money
Over 100%.
elsewhere because we don't have spaces or programming. So whether that's putting like buddy systems in place, like the school has it, but then not during the school year.
Like ADA upgrades.
ADA
existing
upgrades,
spaces, yeah.
modifying programming.
Okay.
If we can keep, because we have programming at all 3 schools now as of this last year. And it is growing. And as they're closing other schools, they're sending kids up to us. If we can provide those services in town, that also gives us more revenue opportunities.
Okay,
Because your school becomes your community, and if we're having kids bust up here, let's give them reasons to stay in
Partner.
Wellington.
From school district.
Mhm.
On ADA.
But as they're looking at closing schools, sorry, this is
I
insider
know.
information, Wellington schools are not on the chopping block.
I second that.
Fort Collins schools are, Wellington schools are not closing, in fact, they're expanding our programming. They're expanding a ton at Wellington Middle High. And at Stone, Rice just, we don't have the room,
Pretty much if you have the trailers, you know the.
but. Kids are getting bused here, their families need to feel connected.
Yeah.
And the families that are here need to feel connected. And they don't have anywhere to go.
So it's Daniel, sorry.
He's fine. Oh. But like even my kids who are not severely disabled. No offense, Billy, we can't access the sports program for some of my kids. Based on accessible, like their disabilities. So that's,
And this is
Yeah.
also like relates back to a similar program or a similar conversation, and some of these is. We would love and we try as best we can to increase ADA programming. It's also very difficult because it comes with like a whole new need for a very specialized certification on a staff person who we don't have the capacity to give to that person at the moment, if that like all makes sense. So the ability to increase to the point of which we would like to. Is basically us looking at asking for almost an entirely additional staff member and then aid on top of that. So it's yes, and as we like keep looking at it, just to keep that in everybody's minds. Again,
But there
when
are
this green, we're
partnership
looking at,
Right.
yeah,
That's
looking at
what I'm saying.
partnership
Ongoing,
opportunities.
connected,
And if we can get help.
activity and resources
Because
with
you have-
partnerships.
you have OT programs in Wellington who are running horse therapies and occupational therapies.
Mm,
There are partnership opportunities.
Yep.
That could maybe keep some revenue here
Right.
instead of sending it to Fort Collins.
So what I would say in this conversation is this is all of these are very important. Where it meets staff ability to take on. Right?
yeah.
Certain times we can try to build a program or try to get connections, and then once seasons start and we try to gain revenue, we're out in the field doing it. So that's where like specializations, outdoor programming, ADA programming, like help us continue to build those,
Yeah.
get them integrated, then we can take that program over. But a lot of times just building new programs is really difficult for us as far as keeping and maintaining what we already have.
Mhm.
Right, and that's part of what our plan is to look at those strategic initiatives. Accessibility is a thing on there, outdoor programming, huge, right, but those can be hand in hand, right? That could be the same program to start with, but where can we build that? And how much capacity do we have before we have to expand, as Eric just said? Or what are our partners that we can get to bring in? We have some resources and some people have resources, but when is their time, when is our time, or where do we have a bridge gap, like? Help us out.
Yeah.
Or to help us out with outdoor programming, and I'm not saying you have to run programs, right? It's just like keeping that conversation going. And making sure that once we get a program in, we get it into our guide, we take, we take the revenue, and I don't wanna just it sucks to call everything revenue, because it's like, that's not what we're looking at, but we are, right? It's
We
part
have
of,
to.
it's part of our job, it's really my job.
Yeah.
But we get that participation and we get the people that are invested into our programming, we'll keep them and keep the program running until it runs its course. But it's hard to get things going.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me wonder what connections can we make then to our schools who are running that programming and connecting with them about how can we help, or how do we, who do we reach out to? What
Even.
But like, look at this,
private parents.
like-
Services that are in Wellington.
like
Yeah.
batting cages, we run, like I said, or Eric said, 6%, right? Ridiculous, terrible, but we also have. A seasonal staff budget that we push into that, which helps drive the cost of all that down. Like, do we reinvest that
Yes.
money into something like that? Or to something like this, right?
Mhm.
I'm not very good at arrows.
Wow, that is a terrible arrow.
I like it.
I am
I
seriously
need
judging
this
you right
program. I need an archery program now.
now. Yeah. Okay, got it.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, where do we reinvest the money that we already have?
Mm-hmm.
But that money can then better be utilized for better revenue generation.
Yeah.
Because it's actually gonna be a program that generates revenue.
Not to go down a total rabbit hole with
You
that,
do it
but
now. I can't draw
I
arrows.
can't do arrows.
even,
I need my halo here.
give me the pen.
That would look way
You're
better.
making me twitchy.
And
Caught
let's
that with my
go.
left hand.
Hands. Hands, Steve.
Is, can we, if we can't run a full, there you go. Full ADA.
Dude, that was embarrassing for you, Zoe. That was
Oh,
so,
sorry. All of that.
No hands.
that was so fluid.
Oh,
But he wanted to do, my goal was to do both of these because it goes here too.
Okay,
I
whatever.
had to redeem myself.
There it is. That was a much better arrow. This is what we do. We show and they learn, right? You watch and you learn. Just kidding. But also, but I'm wondering a little bit.
New program.
But no, seriously, I'm wondering if when we talk about ADA programming, we already have flag football, we already have soccer, we already have basketball. Like, is there any reason we couldn't look at putting together a buddy team in one of those sports? Where
100%.
Where then we at least are doing
But
something.
We started the conversation with
I could.
the city of
coach
Fort
them.
Collins all sorts of different times, and we've had them, we've used them, they helped us start. Might be on limits and give us ideas, we've taken tours of their facilities, they've given us training, like, we have those connections, it just gets to a point where it's like,
You can
okay,
understand.
it's March.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, like, what do we do?
Yep.
We have youth sports, we have yoga started, like, all that stuff, and we're out mowing and doing that, so like, that's where I'm saying, like, we just need that constant.
We need revenue,
What's the
we need
next
more
step?
staff.
Well, we-
And that gets back to my whole thing of how are we, as we grow and look at building these, we have to have the staffing to be able to do it.
We do.
So, you know, the revenue to me is a huge, it has to be almost the top tier of this conversation. And I think talking about something like this, where we know that we may not be able to boost revenue right away, but we can get rid of something and designate that to other places is a solid place to start.
And I can put that up here, but it's right here at the very bottom. It's a cost recovery analysis. So basically, it's telling us what our programs are actually making us, like, very, very, very deeply into what every dime that we're spending is, and it takes a lot of staff time and everything. But the last time it was done was in 2002 or 2022,
2021.
2021.
Yeah, it's due.
So 2021, it is. So we do a master plan, and we can also talk about a cost recovery idea, and that is more. And I will see the Farrell later this week and talk to her. She and her partner run an amazing business that's called 110%.
I heard feral. Who are you talking about?
She's the co-founder of
110% is a company, Farrell.
Okay.
Farrell is her name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
PRAL, not,
I-
not what she is.
That's my.
Farrell?
Farrell, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just kind of throwing things out. We've talked about this, right? So we wanted to,
Jamie's the other half.
Jamie Sabak and Farrell,
You were the B.
yeah.
Okay.
it's not
Okay,
Farrell.
okay.
Got it, sorry.
But they are actually presenting at our
Stop.
director section, annual summer meeting, which I'm going to this week in Salida, and I will talk to her about what she can do for us for this. Because it goes right along with a Nexus study. It's different than a Nexus study, but it gives us, like, we've got a master plan. We know what our programs now cost and what they should cost versus other places. 6 years ago, programs cost a whole lot different than what they do today with how the cost of goods are. So do that, do a Nexus study, then we have the whole rounded package for revenue.
That makes sense. Can you scroll back up that list really fast, did Jason send you kind of all the things that were squirreled at him?
He might. He said he was gonna text me, but. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Okay.
And what I can do, because I know it's running and it's only gonna be 8 o'clock before we know, I can just send that out. I'll take a snapshot of this. I know this is nuts right here. Most of this is in
that, and we'll send this out, we just wanted to look at that. But I wanted your guys, like, we can have conversation because it generates like just the ideas of where we're going, right? And what we compare together, what we compare down, where we can look to increase revenue, where we can just slash it. Any other large ideas?
Well, I thought the ADA bridge, by the multi
Yeah,
golf
We need to get more
Course.
5Ks going.
is really important.
so cool thing with that,
I noticed that you guys have it in there.
man, it's expensive.
Yeah,
Man, it's expensive. But I
It's
think
expensive
that we
because
can just get a permit and put whatever bridge is gonna be acceptable over there. I'm hoping. We have to work with engineering and just make sure that it works, but with the egress of the Box Elder Creek and the already has the two passages. Have to go through the process and see with Nathan, but we might be able to get away with way less.
Is the reason that it's so expensive is because it's a floodway? I see.
Yes.
Plain and
And we
white.
don't own the land that the floodway.
So we
I
have
see.
to
There's like adjacent on each side.
Yes.
So we're building
But
over somebody else.
I had this amazing note on my desk that said, design bridge that is, and I gave it to Eric.
perfect. Yay, Eric.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what
yeah.
about, we ranked highest improved walkability access to parks, schools and the downtown. Is that something we need to make more?
That will
Yeah.
also be dialed in with the transportation.
So I feel that's been a really big talking point for us for like the past 3 or 4 years now is connecting where the trail ends down here and then vice versa from the community park. There's
There's.
Any of the
The hard part
neighborhoods.
of that is there's like, we just have to wait, like, that's one of those hard parts, some of it is just hurry up and wait until the land is.
Available.
Or available,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, we need it, but like. Can't be like, all right, peace, get out of your house.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if we could just hit up BNSF, like, hey, just give us
No,
10 yards on the edge of the thing and then.
Which-
But then,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
And we're not an eminent domain type of
Yeah.
place where we're
Yeah.
not just gonna, sorry, this is ours now.
I think
No,
for
no.
me, when it comes back to that though, it's
John's like, can't we?
it's also
No.
this like.
Now, the railroad thing came up during some of our conversations before, and they're not gonna wanna do it.
No.
Anything.
Who?
Yeah,
The
the
railroad.
railroad, yeah.
Okay, so-
No, they'll
Oh,
be
not
impossible
at
to
all.
work with.
Oh,
So the
There's
other
so many
piece,
disability issues.
this came up a little bit when we did Centennial with Eric the other week, and I've talked about it with Cody when we talked about all the downtown construction and the revamp of our downtown, and it fits really into Centennial being the heart that Third Street, Third and Highway 1 or Cleveland is really the central heartbeat of our town. And the fact that there is no walkability on any of these locations for bike paths or anything like that. And I know that again, this is a transportation and all of those pieces, but if we're talking about driving revenue, we need people to be able to get down to our downtown and spend time and money here. And if they cannot do that, then we will continue to lose people into Fort Collins. And I know that they did a leakage plan when we did the grant for the Main Street. That is all the money that's
Our
going into
recreation
this.
leakage from our
We've
plan.
seen all of that. We know that those are interconnected ways. And so, you know, we live in Sage Meadows and our trail dies at Viewpoint. You know, it's like those are the pieces, if we want our kids to be able to commute, we want the kids to be able to ride their bikes and scooters and things like that. We need to make sure that this is really the heart of our community. And so I think for me, it kind of needs to be a focal, and I know that when the downtown construction is done, that will change a lot of
The
things.
safety and walkability there specifically will be.
Yes, but it's really, I mean, yeah,
Have to be able to build off it.
it's a center point.
And that
It's the
will
heartbeat
increase
of our community.
accessibility across the communities.
Yeah, and it increases people coming into downtown and spending money downtown,
The sidewalks are so rough.
which is where our revenue comes from.
Yep.
So I think for me, that's like something I don't wanna lose sight of when we look at all of that.
And I think just in general, like, it's gonna come down to this for trail connectivity.
Mhm.
But if, you know, again,
Think about
keep it
like
on the
Mount
forefront,
Holly,
but like-
basically, in Fort Collins, like,
Yeah.
that's
this
like,
might not be an us CIP, sorry.
yeah, no, sorry, I was
Go ahead.
interrupting actually,
No, very good.
but just like the vessel that like Mountain Avenue serves between like, um. The railroad, the, city park,
Mhm.
you know, golf course, all of it, it really is just like, it's surprising because if you actually go down Mountain Avenue, you don't really see a lot of car traffic, but you do see a lot of bicycle, pedestrian traffic there, and especially during events. I mean, and it's such a great area to hold events. So we
Yeah.
can really kind of transform, like Third Street in my mind is like Mountain Avenue. You know what I mean?
It is the connector. Third Street
Yeah.
is the north-south
Yeah.
connector,
Uh-huh.
and it will, and it is very heavily stressed and, I mean, it's on our plan, but it's very heavily stressed.
Yeah.
So can
Will be in the adoption of the transportation and mobility. plan.
dovetail with transportation.
We gotta do something
Yeah,
about that
absolutely.
Roosevelt intersection on Third. Why is it a two-way stop on Third and Roosevelt to through streets? Sorry, that's really off topic, but it drives me nuts every time I ride my bike through there or my kids are walking through there. I'm like, you gotta make sure the cars are.
Mhm.
Our cars there. I know instinctually you think there's a stop sign there for them, but there's not. Yeah, it's bad. Sorry.
The one thing that I ranked pretty high on that potential focus areas in services was diversify revenue beyond sports.
Yes.
And I felt like that was really important as we start to look at things, and so I don't know. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could get like our own Wellington baseball team, you know? Or something like what Fort Collins has, you know, when you talk about the connectivity of Mountain or just
If we can.
anything like that.
And you can have like a show that we can actually.
And I will
get-
spearhead.
Like, you know.
If we get an amphitheater, I will take on your programming for an amphitheater.
Like,
So then,
like a
you know,
little-
then we need to look at what it is with the CIP that drives that. It's the
Yeah.
stage, it's the generator, and we start there. and
Yeah.
then Centennial could get re-advanced, and we will.
Like, the
I mean,
events
you know,
don't
we gotta
have-
start somewhere, like, you
Mhm.
gotta do it
We
somewhere.
can make literally collect payment for certain events that we host if we want
So,
to, you know?
so if we're talking about the Centennial space, we know that we're not just going to reinvent it tomorrow. We know
Yeah.
that there's a lot of things that can happen, but what do we invest our capital money into? Do we do the generator and the stage?
Yes.
Yes.
And
And
that's,
we
that's
can
more
rent
of
those
an
out.
immediate, that becomes then an immediate.
And that's gonna be something we can reuse in the long run. So if we do get like a permanent amphitheater and stuff where we no longer need the generator, we can have the stage, portable stage be used at other parts.
Well, why would you use it at Viewpoint? I mean, you've got a whole big space there.
Well, we have
Use
like
it
being
for
able
CP, why
to,
won't it for the 4th of
like,
July?
yeah, we give those things.
Street rent it.
yeah, why don't we have?
It's almost like a bridge to, you know.
Yes, to the
Our
permanent.
centennial improvement, but also just something we'll be able to utilize in the long run.
And it's,
That's gonna
and
be
it
such a-
gets the community gathering.
Yeah.
and things
Something
for our
we've talked
community
about
there to do.
internally is like, we do movies in the park and it's free, and we will want that to be free. But if we do, let's say we do put a stage out beforehand and bring in music, like,
Yeah.
we're taking revenue in for that, and then revenue for the movie, like, I don't know. Things to talk about, but we have opportunities if we continue.
Do you know why we don't
To invest in
generally
them.
do like beer gardens down here anymore?
Also an opportunity, because when you bring music in a good
Yeah.
capacity and have a stage and reliable power,
Yeah, I just like, I haven't actually just figured out why it hasn't been happening as much.
There's been a lot of events that this year have been put off because of the downtown construction that was
I
planned.
know that, but I'm just talking about in general, just beer gardens, because.
It was
we used to do-
mainly the Legion that was taking care of and running those,
Okay.
and I think it was permitting. So
Can I also share the other insight on beer gardens that often gets overlooked from the brewery side? When people like the Legion host a beer garden, oftentimes they are asking for donations of beers from businesses that are right here.
Oh,
And so
okay.
those businesses are essentially giving away beer
and losing revenue. because
and losing revenue.
Okay.
That, so it's something that people don't, until you've been on the other side of planning events like that, it's something that's totally missed. And so it's why when we go to do something like Wellington Brew Fest, it has
Yeah.
evolved into bringing other breweries in from Fort Collins and doing those sorts of things. Because when they did the 4th of July beer garden, the Legion did it here. It took the busiest days for our local businesses away from them.
Got it. No,
And that does more harm than good in the long run when we're harming our local businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cause the argument towards it was like, oh, it's a tax write-off, it is, but if it's on a fun weekend where it's not.
Making
Yeah.
and all that is to bring people
But
down
then-
here to create
Yes.
revenue, and if
That's
we're not
right.
getting any revenue out of it.
Yeah,
Not this 4th of July, the last one when we had the music in here, it's the busiest, coolest environment that I've ever seen for our 4th of July in downtown Wellington. Because there were people everywhere. There were people I had never seen
Yeah.
before, people we talked to. And I think that music, and when we talk about our community wants the connectedness, so we need events and sort of things. Like I think about, what do you guys want? You're in high school. What do you want to be able to go and do that we're not offering when it comes to whether it's music or a rave party, a silent disco, like,
a big.
you know, there's all of those opportunities. So what, when it comes to that, start to think about those, like, what do you guys want to be
shows?
doing?
I've seen him in Old Town Square
So-
doing like a
so
rave
we talked about
show, and the vibe was.
What?
incredible.
Around this
It was like
conversation,
during an art walk and stuff, and it was just like.
I'm
and
thinking
felt
the
great.
main theme of what we've got up here and there in the project list that we're putting together, I think, we didn't go through that whole project list. I knew it would take a long time to do all of this because we all have great ideas for our community based on the fact that we get feedback from our community. But the ideas are, we've got to generate revenue.
Yeah.
We know that, right? And it's not just us, the town has to generate revenue,
Yeah.
but how can we help?
Yeah.
How can we
Mhm.
take the money that we have and generate more revenue,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
What projects, Eric and I, this is kind of the directive that I'm getting for Eric and I to kind of put more of an immediate, long-term, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 on it, is how can we generate more revenue right now with what we have, but a little bit of capital investment and reductions in some areas. Right now, how can we improve programming right now to generate revenue and also diversify? How can we also meet some goals that will knock a few of these off that aren't going to be like crazy huge projects, but also keep some of the larger ones like trails and immediate that we're working on, that when the opportunity comes, we're gonna jump on them with a grander scheme of like, let's save that, or not save, let's use the money that we have that in restricted funds for land purchasing for that.
Yeah.
So am I getting this right?
Yeah.
Because we basically have like 2 days to then turn this around to finance, but finance does know that it's the first round, right? And we're doing this as a team. So that's kind of our directive that we'll take from this.
Okay.
And we will put dates and we'll get estimates and all that kind of stuff, or we'll just slap some numbers on things that we know are gonna be in the future, but if we need to move forward, we'll get full quotes on them. Biggest capital turnaround that we're gonna have to look at immediately is Viewpoint.
Mhm.
Am I getting this right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go team.
Solid. I
John,
just want the directive, yeah.
you've been, since Laurelyn's no longer here. You've been on this board the longest. Are there things that you think we're still missing that have been pushed off? That we're not including in this conversation?
I'm sure there are. Trying to think of them, because we hit most of the major stuff, because we've talked about the Centennial for years, it's just, we're always have been at a standstill in that. Viewpoint. I mean, if we could include our pickleball stuff, when we do Viewpoint,
Oh.
we're not
Yes.
on type of things.
But yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that'd be perfect.
Right.
The trails has just been such a hurdle, but I mean, I know we're gonna be working on that.
Viewpoint.
Multi-use viewpoint,
Still technically
pickleball,
connected.
basketball, we talked about doing that, can we incorporate that into the upgrades and actually redo those courts to handle all of that? Okay.
Tennis too,
Okay.
that is too.
That- Well, that gives 2 full tennis courts without pickleball, if we can
Okay,
pickleball
yeah.
off. Multiple applications for
yeah.
everything,
Yeah,
Yes.
right? So
Absolutely.
Pickleball is going to be,
Start kicking my in-laws out.
for.
I guess the only other thing that I do wanna bring up that probably would follow, maybe not in the immediate, but. Not too far off, is we always forget about the east side. The east side basketball courts.
East Side basketball. And another thing that I put on there is, I would like to, and maybe this board can help produce some of this, but we've gone through the process is getting that second ADA dock, and we put that application in for 2 the first time that we did it. They granted us 1 and said, come back later. It's been 2 years. Do we try to go back to CPW and see if they can grant us another,
yeah.
another
100%.
in kind for another dock, and just give Wellville that rounded idea of like, here we are. Put that on the capital plan this time with the idea that we're not gonna spend the money on it unless we get the grant, even though we know there's gonna be a little bit of money that we have, but then the work is gonna be in kind, like we did last time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To jump back to the mobile stage, would that be something the Bohemian Knights Foundation?
And that is a great point. I've talked to Caitlin
Caitlin, yeah.
Kelly about
Okay.
this, like, we don't know what, and it might even say in their mobile stage grant question mark. We don't know what fund bucket that would come out of. Multiple of us would fund it, or if we could go together to find a grant for that, through Bohemian. So
I mean,
talked about that
I
earlier.
bet that Bohemian Knights would like to really work on expanding like surrounding communities with their program, so I just.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the mobile stage, like, have a concert,
Mhm.
concert's done, plop our screen up there.
Yeah,
We have a 100% stable space for our screen
Yeah.
rather than just in the turf float
yeah,
around, you know, like.
yeah.
We have all this infrastructure and then we put fence up and say, you can sit in this area, there's a beer garden there too, and like, you know, all the fun things and then.
Mhm.
So we're working on those, just so you know, we're talking about those things internally. But giving the directive, we will use our time to push that forward. And that's what this conversation is all about.
I think what John said about the east side, just to circle back to that
Yeah.
is, and I have a tendency to overlook it and I feel terrible about it, so thank you for continuing to bring it up. But when we talk about how we know that the connectivity from east to west is going to take a long time because it's way more in depth, then we do need to really make sure that we focus on what the east side does not have.
Yeah, it would be more
Yeah.
like evening out things where like we know they wanted basketball courts. And that's why we did the dog park over there, because they didn't have one, so just kind of
Yeah.
equalizing. And we won't be able to do it 100%, but
But
just
anything is
work.
better than.
Yeah,
And showing them that we
Anything
hear
just to
them.
keep people who live on the east side from just hopping on the highway. Like anything that just makes it easier for them to just do things close to home would make a huge difference.
when we did
There's a
our
difference between them
well-
leaving town and not.
tour, you had brought up something about a feature where you could do like concrete, like cornhole boards. It would just be permanently there. So, I mean, if we put with some kind of like unique thing that they have, I mean, it's gonna make people wanna go over there, but I mean, we still do
Yes,
have the
no,
underpass.
that's a great idea though, because that balances the equity of saying,
Yeah,
you can go to the other.
Do people still play Foursquare? Or
I like for it all. That sounds like fun. I don't know.
It's
You guys
or horseshoes?
kids play it.
Like,
Oh, yeah, that was the other one that we had.
Horseshoes over there?
Heather ball,
So
that gets played a
Heather
lot,
ball,
right?
when we talked about, well, backing up what John said, that is more like, we had talked about putting a basketball court, but we also were like, this is more of a nature park, natural feel, so like, something like horseshoe pits and cornhole is more just like, then a structure with lights and basketball court and stuff like, east side does need that, but is that the space for it, right? Or do we just do something
Climbing
where
wall.
we generate revenue by more people coming in and utilizing that shelter because they wanna rent it, and we do a job box and they get a key, and then they could just pull the bags and the horseshoes out, and, or they can bring their own if they don't, but they can rent it, you know, all that kind of stuff.
A women's place.
Not the obstacle course over there. Do the obstacle course over there.
I know spike ball's a pretty big deal right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
in case you ever help Rex set up the spike ball.
Spike ball's not
It's pretty difficult.
I love spike ball.
Learning to put the net over the outside of the rim first.
Yeah.
I gotta tighten it. We do take spike ball to all of our events.
It's true. My son played it
Um,
the entire time.
I said that would always be.
have you guys ever played Gaga Ball?
Yeah.
Yes, that's another,
Gaga?
love to
Gaga
play
ball?
it, yes.
Explain it.
I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me, but kids love it.
Look it up later.
It's like
Uh,
9 squares
It's
almost. but
literally
it's
the
not.
best game that you will ever find, and everybody will play it. You can
You can-
throw a Gaga pit over there,
You
where
need a
people can
pit?
bring their own ball.
Oh.
But what I would say is like, here's where we gotta get back to the reality of what it says up there is like, how's that generating revenue? It's something else to maintain. Whereas a concrete horseshoe or a horseshoe pit or a concrete I'm just saying.
I would even say like outdoor sand volleyball pits, cause that way you can open up a whole
We talked
new.
about that at Wellville in the past. I mean, at Winnick in the past.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've talked about that at Winnick.
The sand has just become the problem.
I figure. but-
No.
Yeah.
It does.
It's that's another one that's like, you think it's not a lot of
They're
maintenance.
just gonna have to
but
be
it is.
in their own.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even horseshoe pits, honestly, you think they're not a ton of maintenance, but they end up being quite a bit, even though it's just a small pit.
But even still, you gotta go through and make sure it's cleaned out before you have a
Yeah.
tournament, make sure all that stuff too.
But you can, like, things you can run a program on,
Right.
we can consider.
Right.
These might not be like maybe a concrete is just an amenity to put over there
Yeah.
to go with the amenitizing the
Mhm.
east side type thing.
Zip line.
And then, well, in the next park we
I put it
build,
on
yeah.
those.
The east side, less light pollution, you could do nature program.
Yeah.
Say, here's how you find a constellation.
That'd be great.
And if they start doing commercial.
They have that thing where it's like.
It's something that doesn't generate revenue that we don't use anymore. We have
So that
that,
way you have the
that
hoops and. When it's just normal, you
kickball,
set it up so
softball
that way you
field
put it
at
back
Wellville.
in, and then when you.
That thing just sits there and it
Those top
grows
pieces.
weeds because it's just in a natural area, like.
Should we have
Kids
a
use it
kickball
every
league?
once in a while. I'm just saying, like, reinvesting that space
The
into
fifth
something.
grade game.
But is that
Like-
one where we can? Cause that floods, right? That's another one.
When it floods, not really,
Not really.
at Wellville.
Okay,
I'm just saying, it's a maintenance nightmare nobody uses, just the baseball courts.
Yeah,
What about
Baseball
the-
field.
why
one
can't we
that's in a
put the skate
retention
park over
pond?
there?
yeah.
So it came up years ago, we talked about getting rid of it, and it would just happen to be like, within the month, I drove by there and there was a girls softball team using it for practice.
Mhm.
And so that's what kind of put us on the back burner on discussing it more. But if it's an area that could be better utilized for something that we know we need, and it betters our east side, because like Billy said, it's not doing much for us.
Yeah.
And maintenance sucks, so.
Would that come up in the? I can't remember what you called it, the
Cost
income,
recovery?
yeah, that one study, would that come up as part of
Yes.
that study? And then we could say, cool, that's not helpful, we can.
Yeah, because it is an amenity where we say that you can practice there, but it's being utilized very little, so it's costing us money.
They
Okay.
factor down to how long it takes us to cut grass at each park,
Okay,
to like add that into the cost recovery for each.
so then we could say, look, this is a resource that's underperforming and we can replace it with something that.
And that,
I mean, the skate park would be kind of a cool amenity on the east side.
And it's still not very far from the underpass.
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, that's a huge space over there. It's already kind of bold
it is
and
not sure in a floodway that we could get away with building an entire skate.
What
Just saying.
could we can,
How'd we get away with building a baseball field there?
Cause it's just sand and there's nothing impeding.
Nothing
The fence was probably.
less liability.
so what could we build there?
What are some other ideas?
I mean, I know I just.
Put a pool
got done
there.
saying that a basketball court might not be the best, but concrete with posts isn't really gonna be something that changes the floodway. So that could be an opportunity for us to do that.
Basketball courts.
A lot,
over there?
what the HOA has over off of GW. Right there before you get to the railroad tracks. So
That one,
also
yes.
part of the floodplain, probably not in the floodway, but the floodplain. They have that basketball court over there. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, that would be something. But it's concrete, relatively low maintenance. I'm not gonna say no maintenance. But compared to, spraying an infield, dragging an infield,
What about,
dealing with irrigation, cause there's irrigation on there and every time it does rain.
what about basketball and pickleball courts over there?
Okay.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see that become more of an immediate than
Mhm.
on the east side.
I will say one thing, and yes, we do need to get pickleball, but. Where do we amenitize certain things in our town to keep it
What's the
equitable
demographic on
versus
that
how
side
many
versus-
people are going to use it?
I feel like.
We've gotta balance that, if we, like, multi-use, sure. Is that, if that's what
Yeah,
you're talking
well,
about?
why, if we
Families
have
Consider something
multi-use,
like that,
I just think like,
Just ideas.
if we're looking at the
I
east
agree,
side,
so we need.
that park is much more centralized and easily accessible than anything northeast is. Because that underway,
Yeah,
I
it's
know
right
it's
there.
not like technically a path.
Yeah.
But that is a connected way right there. And they're gonna be building back behind there, aren't they? Isn't there another neighborhood going in over there?
Well,
Or they already
it's
doing-
been, it's been.
They're expanding the
Latitude.
townhomes and the neighborhood is.
When
Yeah,
the townhomes
Saddleback's over there too, when that gets,
When they pull tabs.
when they pull taps, then.
Everything's approved, they were just waiting for them.
So knowing that the demographic on the east side is. Increasing. Yes, and younger families,
I feel like it is.
then maybe that also informs. What goes into that space, because our young families going to be using basketball courts.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like John said, the master plan clearly dictates the fact that we have basketball courts, but they're so. I mean, this one here, it's not in the greatest shape. But then the other ones are over at Viewpoint and they are isolated from any sort of connectivity.
Yeah.
other than
Yeah.
People knowing about them and living in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right, so making a multi-use is one way to bring people in, but also anything on the east side is just. Basketball courts are one thing for sure that the master plan's like, yeah, you're so aren't very good.
I would mind seeing more of a nature playground over there in Wellville too, because you've got, the fishing and it's more kind of nature oriented. It would be neat to have kind of a nature park. Because there isn't, what's the only other park is the Sunset one? Is that what Sunset is? The one,
Park Meadows.
Park Meadows.
And
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Is it the same?
No, Sunrise is the tiny one right across from Bonfires,
Got it.
somewhat across.
But it's a 2 to 5 only.
Yeah.
Year old.
Yeah,
So the Park Meadows Park is very out of date and is very small, even when I lived there with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And so if we're looking at Wellville kind of being that connected again, for right now, it's the only place we have an underpass for a way to cross from east to west without driving. A kind of natural area play park. Even if you have one that's littles and then you do like a ropes course featured one with a tall structure over there. To me, is a great way to pull people over there. We can take my kids, and if one of my kids wants to fish, great. Well, what is my other one doing who doesn't want to fish?
Sure.
Sitting there screaming at me?
If you put it there, I will say palm drag.
Ropes course?
Yes, let's think about that more as like a future thing, I would say only because. The capital idea of doing all of that in one park at one time, just to amenitize that is one thing. When other parks will need other capital money, as we just discussed, like Park Meadows is getting old. We're gonna put $350,000 into Viewpoint, like.
WCP needs new.
That's where the ideas are, but let's keep that maybe even on the future. Like a bigger idea, like a whole park or something, but what, the smaller things to amenitize maybe now.
Okay.
Just my thought.
Yeah, I just think that the east side of the community has kind of always been the forgotten stepchild. And hence why I said east side and west side in my, didn't mean for that to stick. But, there's like, yes, WCP is gonna need an upgrade, but WCP is more up to date than any other park we have in our town.
It's our shining star right now.
Yeah, and it's,
Harvest Park is newer.
but Harvest Park isn't there's
no
no,
one goes,
It's
no one
not-
says, hey, you wanna
I
meet
mean,
your
you're right,
baby at
it
Harvest
is
Park?
newer. But it's not
Hello,
as
Brenda,
connected
good
as me, and maybe that will be if the community center goes in that space and that, like, it's good to know that
Yeah.
that's been
Yeah,
updated, I don't
that'll be
visit
like
it
a
as much, so I'm not as
connected one,
aware of
yeah.
it. But I think like having an updated play structure on the east side. After Viewpoint to me becomes the next necessity.
Have like Pirate Park? It's got its unique niche.
Theme,
It'd be
I do
cool
think
if that
the
side
east
was,
I do think
the
we
nature
wanted
park.
to try to do,
yeah.
we do want to, when we do a project on the east side, we do want to drive towards something that is unique and has its own draw.
Agreed.
WCP kind of does have like a nature theme, especially if you look at the smaller kids area.
Yeah, Yeah.
A good idea maybe for the east side would be like an agricultural thing,
Hmm.
because it's still gonna have most open space for the
Like,
town.
Hey, do we know what happened to that tractor museum? That was right by the overpass? Nobody knows about it? It was technically a tractor museum.
Talking about the farm museum?
Yeah. It closed, but I wonder,
Oh.
yeah, I think the museum closed. I wonder if they have any things that we could look into to just.
I will just say, we're not gonna take a bunch of rusty old. We can take the liability just on.
Okay.
As,
I mean, we have a cannon.
But
The
everybody
kids
plays
love
on
the
it.
cannon
Yeah.
too. They're all crawling all over it all the time.
Right.
I love the ideas. We also have to keep in mind well-roundedness too. You know,
Like
what all are we gonna
Martinez,
put in one
Martinez Farm, think about
area?
that one, sorry.
Yeah, he's managed the farm.
Get our only Martinez Farm, seriously.
You said throw stuff at the whiteboard.
Get our own petting zoo.
We could,
We need ours.
but
We don't have alpacas.
if we have a farm,
This is going on.
we can couple it with
Go-kart track,
therapy
aquarium.
and do.
Oh, yes.
Hot air balloon ride.
We really could.
Dream big,
You
I
have
said it.
no idea how great farm therapy is.
Martinez farm, look at Eric. You know, Let me take one step back real quick though, and I think Eric's reference to the idea that actually we do have a park that's newer than WCP is to say that WCP, although it might be shining, is starting to fall apart in certain areas. So we have to
It's because we
balance.
continuously, like, I just scheduled a shipment for next week of $20,000 worth of parts for WCP. That's gonna take us probably 4 days to change.
Is it the splash pad?
No, that's,
Also,
no, that's another $5,000 for the
Oh.
valves and
Yeah.
stuff.
And like this, the pour in place is mostly shot, but within the next 2-3 years, and that's gonna be that's a CIP level project as well.
Okay.
You think? That's probably gonna be
At least 200.
So it almost sounds like we need to plan almost every year for there to be an immediate need to update a specific park. Like moving forward, that is where we are. We've fallen so far behind.
Yeah.
That we need to,
And
well,
that's what-
viewpoint is this year, then we need to sit down and look at like, what is the next?
That's what I'm
priority?
saying, like,
Yeah.
all these things are great, let's put them on there, but
Yeah,
maybe one little thing on the east side every year to kind of continue to balance that
Mhm.
equitability
Mhm.
standpoint.
mm-hmm,
Throw it on the map for now, if things come up, then maybe we change, but like, we do have to continue to, like, that playground needs to go.
yeah,
That one way up there is beautiful, but if you look at it, like Eric said, it's like 15 to 2. This will be 2 years in a row, and granted, it was vandalism last year, but that we're spending upwards of $25,000 just on the playground alone,
Okay.
right?
so then.
And
that makes-
viewpoint's gonna cost $350,000 at a minimum, depending on if we do basketball courts, then we're looking at $425 to $500,000. Like,
Mhm.
one at a time, but throw them on the board. Just keep that in mind.
So
Right.
that makes it sound like WCP needs to be 2028. Especially if it's our big,
I feel
if it's
like
our biggest market, it
Centennial
pulls the
because-
most.
I don't know.
Yeah, not like.
Sooner. I know there are too many options for it.
Go ahead and say what you're gonna say, cause.
Yeah, so not like a full redo, and when we're gonna actually split in the operating fund. We're gonna split out a separate line for playground maintenance things. Specifically just so that we can like highlight that and make that known, like, hey, y'all, playground stuff, business.
That's it, cause right now,
And it's cheaper to buy full, like, if you were to buy each piece. Or, 4 or 5 pieces and ship it out. Like for what we wanted to design viewpoint for, we could probably get the whole thing for $1 million. But because we would buy it in a full structure, they would come out and do it at one point, all that kind of stuff, right? It's gonna cost $350,000-$400,000. But when you're looking over the 10 years of maintenance that are gonna come, double, triple that dollar value to replace pieces as they fail.
So it's better to just replace a whole park. Is that what you're saying? Like it's cheaper to replace a whole function?
Not necessarily, it's just like when we build those giant things, right, like we want viewpoint to be huge and great and amazing, yes. And then we gotta remember, like, year 3, we, like, that's an extra $20,000-$30,000 that needs to go in, cause something's gonna get vandalized, something's gonna like fail from installation, like when you get that many parts all at once, they just go
Mhm.
bad, right? There's a lemon in there or something. And so like, not necessarily replace the whole thing. It's just like, as we do that, then we have to remember 10 years down the road, you know, that park is taking a big hit, but so are the other parks.
So it's all about
So like,
life,
it's huge and healthy,
right?
but that's because people love it. It's new,
Yeah.
it's exciting. When you put a new one in, all of a sudden WCP, we're gonna be like, wow. Like,
That didn't require.
does that look super cool?
Mhm.
Still is cool, right?
Mhm.
Because now Viewpoint is like this
In
crazy
comparison.
cool thing, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
So if we're talking about it, it sounds like you guys have a better understanding of what like the life cycles are of parks once they're used and sort of thing, but. If we say like, okay, well, we need this big amount to really fully update this location like Viewpoint, but then we also need probably 10,000. For each of our other parks, if they have something that needs to be replaced, is that really what we're talking about when we sit and look at something? Is like, okay, well then in 2028, if we're looking at revamping WCP, but there's gonna be maybe 10,000 that needs to be done at Viewpoint after a hard year of it being used, and 10,000 it, is that really what we're looking at?
Right now, yes, and what we're looking at now is at least to start pulling out. The difference between our R&M budget, which is, so we have, you know, our two big buckets, largest buckets, we have a lot of line items in our operating budget. And our biggest buckets are the R&M budget and then our minor part improvement budget,
R&M being,
repair and maintenance.
Okay.
So right now, R&M is just like anything from replacing a slide to all the trash bags that we use to maintain it, right? So anything just falls in there. It's really hard for us to find any life cycle ideals based on that. So the first idea is to pull playgrounds outside of that and just do a playground one. And then eventually, as we get further along in this whole process, we might find that it's best to do a park R&M budget. Right, so Sunrise has a $15,000 every year R&M budget, or four, or six, or whatever that is. A WCP every year, now that it's 15, 20, 25 years old, has a $40,000 R&M budget. And then in year 25, it's got a $450,000 replacement program on one, and then 2 years later, 150 on the playground in the south, right? But we can maintain fences with the R&M budget. We can't just build a new playground with an R&M budget. But you can keep the slides going, but eventually we need to redo it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But we're not there yet, right? Like, we've been rebuilding our whole operations and CIP since I got here, and we're just at a place now where we're having these conversations.
but that's also because you have the data now too, right? To say, hey, this is what we spent in the past.
And also we have some, I'll be honest, someone like Eric in that position to start calculating these things. Before it was just like, wreck people, one parks person, and then you just go.
Mhm.
And now we have someone on the ground and talking through this, and I say, can you go do this for me? And he's like, yes, I will write this down. This looks better in the budget if we split these up. I'm like, that looks great. That's how we do it.
You guys make a solid.
Way to go.
I mean, and I think,
What comes down to that, right?
yeah, but I think also having an understanding, at least for me, to have an understanding of like, that's something we have to think about every year. Helps
exactly.
communities look at like, what does this really look like?
Yeah, like to put it in perspective, I went to a whole presentation for Fort Collins and their deferred maintenance, like tracking that they do through their parks. And basically, like at 25 years for a playground, like it immediately gets entered into consideration for replacement. Right? And so like, if you put it in that perspective, WCP is 2.5 years away from its half-life.
Wow.
And like for us,
Yeah.
right, like we're all talking about it being, and again, that's like deferred, that's deferred
Yeah.
maintenance. They
Yeah.
are also catching up on some things, right? Like we're trying to not, let's keep ours for 35 years and make that it's, we're trying not to get to that point, but that is where like the city of Fort Collins is at. And like, that's their immediate jump. So, if we were falling under that, again, we're trying to outlast some of their stuff by doing what we're doing now. But just like, when I heard that, I was like, okay.
They have a whole department, or they have a
Dedicated to
whole
this.
manager
Right.
inside of their parks department
Yeah.
dedicated to just
To
doing
tracking this information, yeah.
Well, I think the other thing that makes me think about is, when WCP was built, a lot of the growth movement for Wellington was in that direction. And since then, a lot of the growth has moved in this direction and that direction. So Viewpoint really does it's not easily accessible, which is the problem, but it is more of a center location
It gets used by.
than
a lot of people.
WCP is. I would think that WCP pulls more people because there's a splash pad there. So
Because of
they
the
use the
amenitized-
playground
Yeah,
and the
amenitized
bathrooms.
locations. Yeah.
But besides that,
That's a different age group that's using it versus Viewpoint.
But I mean, corny as it sounds, if you build it, they will come. I think
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
you're saying, like
Yeah.
that neighborhood got built and that playground and that the ballparks got built and it's just like, that's where everybody goes, cause that's the thought.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
that-
But I will say for me, even with young kids living on the east side and then at Sage Meadows, we rarely go to WCB. That is probably second or third down on the list. Because it's not easy to access for us. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This has been a lot, but I also feel like this is. It's exciting. It's cool to look at. It's
Conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the amount of work that you guys have put into it and in the past leading to get us to this point is really important. And I know
Yeah.
for most of us, this is fairly new, but I would assume for John and Laura Lynn, I'm making a little bit of an assumption that it's refreshing to see it.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of-
Yeah, cause we've been asking for a lot of this for quite some time. Getting the master plan to start with was the greatest thing we could do moving forward, because it is a guiding document for us, and it is ammo. You do these surveys and different studies and you get all this information back. You go after grants and then you go to trustees and, hey, this is what we want, this is why we want it, and let's see this get passed. So it's been really exciting the last couple of years now. We really got turned around in a whole lot better direction, so I thank you guys for being here. It's awesome.
It's great.
We do have a few more agenda things. We can probably just go. I mean, if you want to go through a real quick recap, if anybody has things they should be doing.
Can't see your face, it sure sounds great.
You are just like a shadow, cause
Yeah.
all of the lights behind you right now.
If you want to recap, go ahead.
If you've got like things that people should be
There's-
doing
Ooh, that's too much, sorry.
before the next meeting.
Pool table.
Investigating.
Mhm.
What did you?
I don't know, we haven't talked about actual next steps yet,
Okay.
so I don't have, I mean, I can tell you what all we talked about, but what do we need to do before our next meeting, I guess, is the question.
Well, I think
The mood lighting.
the biggest thing that I would say is just like, we'll take these directives and build the CIP and continue to work on our operations budget.
Mhm.
We'll have a first round to finance.
Okay.
That's kind of our goal in the next 3 days, 2 days, 2 days.
Then if you have any important announcements.
I would just say, we will get hopefully one more run of water at Wellville. We did get a mainline break over there today. So the pump are off. The HOA notes about it, so we're all on the same page here. We'll get that fixed as soon as we possibly can. But we will hopefully work with North Cooter and CSU, RDEC to get one more run of water to fill the ponds up at the end of the season. Push those youth sports things, our numbers are a little bit low still, so we need you kiddos to come in and build some teams, and then,
Lost a huge chunk of players.
that's it.
Any board member updates? But you look at the parks recently? That might be
I
something.
mean, I've been at the parks, but with
Have
my
we
children.
re-signed parks with our new board members?
That's what I was gonna suggest. We might wanna put that on an agenda.
Okay.
And just go over parts. See where everybody's at and what they think they'd like to take on. So. That's good.
I did want to do one small update on this here because I want to make sure I push the things we're trying to go. So I chatted today with our public works, or streets superintendent about some things that we can do at the park shop, which you all saw, to make it better, and we think we can make it like continuously work since there is no like visible future for where we can move within the next few years or 5 years or even more really. And being able, I think, to sneak it in at $30,000 is pretty incredible for what it's gonna like change into. So the only thing that's not factored in there that I'd like to add is some place for them to go as like a staff and hang out, because right now it's just inside the shop, which has no relaxation space, because we're ripping off the space that was there, rightfully so, as it needed to go. But I just wanted
Yeah.
to-
That's great.
That's great.
Okay, and then we did have down next week for a park visit.
And that's the east side.
That is the
Yep,
east side.
Sorry?
I think we could start at,
you got it.
the small one, what am I saying?
Sunrise. That one park over there.
Yeah, it's the small one. We can go start there, cause it's not gonna be a long conversation about that one. I think us ending up at Wellville. Probably a good idea. It's been topic of conversation a lot lately, so.
It'll be good to see it after this discussion too, especially like basketball courts and amenities we can add.
Yeah.
People, cool.
Good luck, y'all.
But that's right, we'll be with our.
Acting.
Portugal, right?
And then we've got our next board meeting on the 12th. So if everybody can make sure that's on their calendar too.
Right, so wait, yeah, you guys aren't going next week.
Yeah, we're going
Or
next
you are
week
going-
on the third.
Oh, yeah, so you're doing both of them.
You
You're
guys
doing both of those.
acting twice.
And
Well, if there's nothing further, we can adjourn at 8:30.
Thanks, John.
8:20.
Thank you, guys.